Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dale. We're on Yak Spam, a fantastic show for you. What's that coming over the hill? It looks like in the darkness, Daybreak! Daybreak has arrived.
Did you legitimately put on a...
The latest map farming craze and design a weapon winners and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion. With a new living story, do we discover the path of destruction from POF events, or does it leave us waiting? Say hello to Jim.
I don't know yet. I'll find out when we're talking about spoilers, because apparently I'm going to mute it, and we're going to play Guess What Part Jim is at. So you can watch my facial expressions.
Apparently didn't have much time this week, but yeah, that's the beauty of Guild Wars 2. You're not missing out on anything. And he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question: with Dorora being put in-game, how far do we have to go for a stealthing bed named Age Night Road? Say hello to Age.
I can't even answer that one. Damn. I don't know how far you have to go.
Come on, Arena, make it happen. Stealthing bed. Look, you don't even have to put in a model. It's going to be a stealthing bed.
Hi guys. I don't know how to answer that one. Oh wow.
But let us jump right into it. I do want to let people know that right now we're not going to do spoilers. We're going to kind of go through everything in the news and the patch as spoiler free as possible, and then we're going to, as usual, give kind of a warning at the end, and switch on a spoiler tags, change the title to have spoiler things in it. So if you guys can kind of refrain from spoilers as much as possible till we reach that point, we would greatly appreciate it. And I know it's going to be hard, trust me. First up, of course, the Daybreak Patch has come. We talked about it a little bit last week. We had the little teaser trailer and everything like that. So, I mean, first off, so much stuff from the patch. Like, everybody was enamored with the idea that we were going to get Raid, Fractal, and Living Story. And, people were happy with that. And then we got even more. So I think first up we had the one thing that caught a lot of people's eyes were the a new legendary weapon, which was the Focus, and it was the Binding of Ipos. I hope
Epos.
But we have a little image there of it. But basically, it has a big tome that when you unsheath it, the tome kind of floats in front of you and gives your hand a kind of giant demon claw that's like purple smoke around your one hand, which looks pretty crazy.
I like big books. I cannot lie.
Sir, I can deny.
That looks awesome. And I'm assuming the eyeball in the front of it looks around.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm wondering at this point, it's like, Deo, are you sad that Revenants can't use foci?
I'm trying to figure out how to make it work on my Guardian, bring my focus back. But like I said, Ambrogia's best focus. But man, this is making it tempting.
It makes it difficult. I know.
Like, this might be the focus for every character that has a focus option on my account, except for my Norn. Because, I mean, Norn have to have Ambrosia. It's just, at least for me.
I really like it. First, the claw is kind of a bit too much for me, personally. But if I had a Char, it'd be perfect, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I previewed it originally. I previewed it originally on my, I was about to say Guardian, my Norn. And it kind of gave me like a Hellboy vibe, where it was like normal hand, massive like forearm that is like the key that unlocks, But Chad is saying not as impressive on a human male. The shadows don't go up your arm far enough, so it looks like you're wearing an inflated glove. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think that was kind of a slight problem I had with like the Norn. Like I was saying, it kind of makes it kind of a even bulkier arm, which I usually have the biggest kind of Norn, so he's already got bulky forearms.
I kind of want the book to float more to the left. I don't know. That's a personal thing, but that's pretty cool.
I'll say Chad is asking if there's a lore explanation for the Shadow Hand. I haven't heard anything about like the story as it progresses. I don't know if there was. I can't think of a character that was like named Ipos or Epos.
I actually think it's more of a our world related item, to be quite honest.
Guys, dragon magic.
Yeah, well, that's always the easy answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cool thing out of it, which I'm definitely curious of hearing Chat's and your guys' opinions on it, is apparently, because like we said, like they said before, going into POF and we weren't at that Heart of Thorns threshold of all the legendary weapons. They said when season 4 happens, we're going to continue the legendaries like we were doing through the season 3, and you will be able to do it if you have Heart of Thorns. So when this legendary focus came out, they made it so you can actually use the gift of Maguma Mastery or the gift of Desert Mastery, which means you can do it in either POF or Heart of Thorns. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. Are you glad they did this, or do you feel like maybe the Heart of Thorns people got gypped out, or you know?
That's a good question. Yeah, so that's a really good question. I haven't seen any flack for it, which is interesting. Maybe people haven't caught on yet, but
why would we? Okay, so the one thing that I'm kind of confused is, why are we angry that you can do it in both Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire?
I think it's because
technically this is a Heart of Thorns feature.
Right, which means do you need the Heart of Thorns masteries to do it?
Yes. No. Well, you need the gift of Maguma Mastery to actually craft.
To buy
legendaries were Corteria masteries when they came out.
Right,
so
but the Corteria masteries are... Oh, so you get the Corteria masteries regardless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Actually, it should be fine, right? Because the legendary crafting is from Heart of Thorns?
Well,
the 4th tier?
Is it? Because I think they all use core.
It's all in Corteria masteries.
It's all in core?
Yeah. Like, I think you use Corteria points. The chat's saying
you use Corteria points for legendary crafting. You have to have tier 4 in order to craft the tier 2 legendary, or the Gen 2 legendaries.
But yeah, the 3 and 4 do say... Yeah, that's what we're saying, is core masteries are given out with POF, so you don't theoretically need Heart of Thorns. But
I mean, it doesn't super bother me. Especially since they gave you an option to craft it with either. So if you prefer the Heart of Thorns maps, stay in the Heart of Thorns maps. Go do that.
Neko, I think the issue is that since it was designed to be a Heart of Thorns feature, it should stay within the realm of Heart of Thorns, not extend to Path of Fire. I think that's kind of the question, which is interesting, because as a person who makes legendaries, I don't really care as long as I can make legendaries.
It's one of those things where it's like, if you only bought Heart of Thorns, if you didn't care for Path of Fire, you can still make the new legendaries.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going back on saying that you had that. They're not invalidating the statement they made. They're just saying that, yeah, you can also make these ones with Path of Fire too. Which, it's not like they said that Gen 2 would be locked purely by ownership of Heart of Thorns.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the caveat there, right? Because you would expect all the legendaries that were supposed to be with Heart of Thorns to be you can only make them if you only have Heart of Thorns. Like, if you have the gift of Maguma Mastery, like, they should only be made with gift of Maguma Mastery, not gift of Maguma and Desert.
I was going to say, had they changed the dialogue? Because while you say it doesn't specify that, I think when you go into the 3 or 4 tier mastery where it says you open the collections, it says you open the Heart of Thorns legendary collections. So it's heavily, but they might have changed that
I
wording
don't
for
know.
it. But
The other thing is QED brings up a good point, is the system as they're going forward with this is designed to be as inclusive as possible, since Gen 2 legendaries are one per account bound.
mhm.
So it's not like this affects anyone other than the people making the legendaries.
Yeah, I personally don't care as long as I get my legendaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Mithrin brings up the point that I was just talking about, is like the Gen 1 set is the free one that you get with core game, basically, or free access to, and then Gen 2 is you have to buy an expansion for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in all honesty, I didn't
kinda-
see anyone really complaining about it, but I thought it was interesting since the wording from it was, originally, Heart of the Heart of Thorns legendaries are going to carry over into season 4, but you only need to, while season 4 requires POF to play, you can do these with HOT itself and not POF.
Yeah.
So
I find it interesting because it allows you to play, like, if you want to focus more on hot, you can. If you want to focus on fire, you can. So
Yep.
I kind of like that as options. So
yeah, because there was that. I kind of like it. The more you guys are talking about it, especially like how you guys are saying about you can kind of pick which expansion or set of zones you want to, because like we said, the biggest thing is the Maguma gift of Maguma Mastery and the gift of Desert Mastery, and those types of zones are so different. I mean, people stayed in hot because we wanted meta maps. You screwed everything up with POF, and then the people that love POF are like, these are kind of like the old maps where it's a zone and then they have smaller metas that don't shut down the whole zone. So yeah, I'm actually, it's kind of nice that they let you choose kind of which end game style you wanted to end game open world style you wanted to go after.
Options, yo.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to make a gift of Desert Mastery just to see what the main difference is. I think it's a funerary currency thing that I need to collect, but I'll see what happens.
Now we just need that for core maps. How would you in the world do that?
Can't do that. There's a time lock, though. Never going to change him, ever.
Oh, are you trying to say when I go for Astralaria that, well, when I went for that Astralaria, that quest, the Promenade of the Gods, is always going to be bugged? Arena not. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a nice change, but I was actually surprised that they did that. Surprised but not surprised, because I was like, that's a nice change, but they kind of promised it was like, it's all, you're gonna be okay if you have hot. But
and they're right. They didn't break that promise.
Yes, good on them. Also, we got a new legendary trinket. It is the Coalescence, and it's interesting. It says, of course, requires POF unlocked for, but it does say in there you only have to defeat a raid boss, which I think Age, you later clarified when we were discussing it earlier in the week, that while it says requires POF, it doesn't mean it requires a POF raid boss.
You could do any encounter, any raid encounter. So that includes escort, which is
that retroactive?
No,
yeah,
I think you have to, or is it retroactive?
Oh no, it's not right. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking. Yeah, so anything that drops legendary insights, pretty much.
So basically, I have to go back to a boss, kill something, even though I've got boss kills before. But now that this is in the game, I have Path of Fire. I go kill any boss from any raid wing. Boom! I have access to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And then afterwards, you would have to go into the new wing to actually continue the collection, because there's things in there that you have to run around and collect.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Chad is saying. Like, you need items from the POF raids in that collection, and also you need to kill a boss in Wing 5, which, yeah, honestly, I figured that this was kind of their answer to the legendary armor from Heart of Thorns. Was, here's another item for the legendary, outfit. Now,
does this thing have it? Well, clearly we don't have anything in here like with animations or anything. I'm hoping that Aurora and Coalescence, like any of the particle effects they have, that kind of sync up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, has anybody finished Coalescence, the Legend?
You can't finish it right now.
Oh,
it's only the
it's
precursor.
gonna be throughout the whole raid. Okay.
Yeah, it's only the
all the
precursor
raid
that's
wings.
available right now, and then later on, it said in the AMA that they would add the second half, which would actually let you make the legendary.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how they will, if they're gonna like stack on each other, kind of like I think, Jim, what you were saying before with like Aurora, like a couple weeks ago, was almost you're gonna have like a galaxy around your head if you get all trinkets or whatever.
I want the inks effect and be all shiny.
You just become the next god. The first 6 people to acquire these and equip them will be the next 6 human gods. There you go.
Ooh. To be brutally honest, I'm pretty sure player characters could fight the gods themselves at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. You get those and you become weaker. It's a trap. Yeah, so new legendary trinket. Something that I think kind of eclipsed the living story was something people have been asking for quite a while. Not build templates, but maybe this breeds
it's up
us
there
hope.
with build templates.
Yeah. We finally got a key ring. So there is a key category that has been added to the wallet. This change affects the following items: the Zephyrite lockpicks, the bandit skeleton keys, packed crowbars, exalted keys, vials of chalk acid, machetes, and trader's keys. So, I mean, like, yeah, I don't think anybody's
crap
like
to keep in our inventory.
Yeah. And I think they made pretty much most of these, if not all, like a use all, so because you have to double click your old keys to put them in your wallet. But I think if you right click, you should have a use all option. So if you've been having all those, like maybe a key character that's been sitting on like all your extra keys, you're not going to have to be like, well, here goes my mouse. I'm going to break it for double clicking 3 million times.
Why would you do that? Just make a macro on your keyboard.
Well, you can't do that. So doesn't that technically go out from the one button?
If they get mad at me for creating a left click macro that literally has no other purpose and it actually inhibits my gameplay, if I try to use it in any way, shape, or form other than just opening bags and clicking on stuff, I don't
think they would, but it could fall under that if. But I agree. That's all you're using it for. You'd probably be okay with it. But if you're using it for other stuff, then they'll probably be angry about it. Also added to the wallet has been competitive currencies category, and it contains the following currencies: PvP league tickets, ascended shards of glory, badges of honor, world reward skirmish claim tickets, proofs of heroics, and testimonies of heroics. Which I think these things were already in the wardrobe. I think they just categorized them so it's more easily visible.
Yep, easier to find everything.
So, I mean, how do you guys like the wallet changes overall with both of these?
The first thing I did when I logged on after the patch is I went through all of my characters and I consumed all my keys. And it turns out I spent a lot more time in Verdant Brink because I had about 50 of the exalted keys, the chalk acid, and the machetes. I had like over 500 crowbars.
Well, you know, that's where everybody goes for like the solid like hero point runs. Like that's where you usually start with all your characters.
Yeah,
So.
I think it's a nice change. It kind of stinks that I can't put my Aether Blade keys in there. But...
Well, that and like the Nightmare keys from Silver Waste Labyrinth don't go in there either.
Yeah.
But, oh well. Nice of them to go back into Season 2 content for keys, though.
Yeah, definitely.
So.
Yeah.
So, see, they're always thinking about us. So, you know, keep politely asking for build templates. So maybe we'll get there one day. But let's talk a little bit about the new Fractal we got. And So the new Fractal was Twilight Oasis, and it says it is basically a journey to the past and witness events that shaped Alona for better or worse. Which, I mean, what in the world could that mean?
Oh, boy. No, screw Joko. Yeah, I'm on the other side of that nonsense.
Not in the Fractal.
Well, do we want to throw a spoiler tag on this? I don't know how spoilery this is. In case people want to look, mute the stream for all of 5 minutes. We won't be maybe a little longer.
I'll throw the spoiler tag just in case, but I don't know. I'm usually only concerned about living story, but might as well. So this will be a spoiler for the Fractal just in case. So we're gonna throw that up there.
I really enjoy the Fractals where you get to play as other people instead of just who the heck are you random people that just kind of showed up and you're basically fighting memories who don't know where they actually are. But I kind of agree when we streamed this on Tuesday, Arlie complained about it because it's I don't want to look like someone else. I want to look like my character because I put a lot of effort into the way my character looks. So I can understand that.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's kind of interesting, and I'm curious of your guys' thoughts of. Are you guys glad we got another night Fractal? Because it's definitely a nighttime Fractal.
I'm partial.
Yeah, I'm not a huge advocate either way of day or night Fractals. Do we actually still have those sigils that are the 10% bonus damage night?
Mm-hmm.
They still exist?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Mac. I'm glad we kind of got another Fractal period, which Mecca will probably explore your question more so later when we go through all the story stuff, because that's okay, we're gonna bring the spoiler tag down because we're gonna. But I think overall, do you guys think it was a good Fractal?
I thought it was fun. The jumping around was great.
Okay.
The extra mechanic of being able to jump like that. Fantastic.
Yeah, you basically get a super jump. So
yeah,
you get your own Springer jump on the special action key, basically.
All right, I'm bringing down the spoiler tag, and I would have to agree with you, Mac, that for me personally, doing the day-night optimization is a little overboard, personally for me. But yeah, also, even though we got a new Fractal, they did give some love to some of the old Fractals. So the Molten Boss Fractal, they turned it pretty much into the full-length Fractal. Improvements to bring it up to standards because it was kind of synonymous with basically farming Fractals. You basically did the level 40 Molten Boss Fractal and just farmed it over and over because it was so short.
Yeah.
But now it basically, I think, we streamed it Tuesday when it came out, but I think really all it was missing was one slight turn after that the boss you face in one of the old Fractals where he smashes the ground and all that stuff. That's like the beginning half of the Fractal, but there used to be a portion where you made a couple turns in a more icy area that it looked like the air conditioning went awry, but it was a couple turns and then it took you to what looked like the area you get with the Molten Boss Fractal. So I don't think it's all of it, and sadly it doesn't have the destruction at the end, but I wasn't I was hoping for it but wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
Maybe they can make that an instant event or an adventure, like one of the little time trial running through things, seeing how long.
Honestly, I'd find it kind of amusing if they put that as an extra little Fractal game in the lobby. It's you have to jump across, and every time you jump across, you get 5 or 6 Fractal relics, and it just gets harder and harder.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
But the best patch note, guys, molten effigies are no longer immune to burning.
Yeah, that's the one you were most excited about going into because you could finally burn them.
Yeah, because molten boss, I felt useless. I play a burn guardian. Literally all of my damage is from fire.
Yeah, I kind of like stuff like that though, because it makes sense, right?
It does. Just like, you know, you couldn't bleed elementals in Guild Wars 1, but at the very least, the ads come down partway through that fight, and I could say, like, don't worry about the ads, I'll take care of them, and I usually was fine with that. But,
oh, is that why you always were like? Because you're probably like, I got something to do.
yeah, no, that's exactly why I always said that.
I never picked that up on that.
Because it was just so, like, I've got almost full Viper gear, and sure, I do a little bit of power damage, but it's mostly Condi, and it's just, I got nothing.
But also on top of that, Captain My Trin improved fixate, telegraphing, and targeting mechanics for consistency. Adjusted transitions to rely more on player skill for progression. So that definitely sounds nice. Mistlock instabilities. They've added 2 new mistlock instabilities to the fractals, and it's hamstrung. The lower your health, the slower you move. Oh, that sounds horrible. And fractal vindicators. Fractal avengers have been replaced by the more powerful fractal vindicators. So that.
What are fractal avengers? This is from somebody who doesn't really do anything above 50.
When you go into downstate, there's a enemy fractal avenger spawns and tries to finish you off.
Oh, problematic.
Yeah, so. Vindicators, I don't know what they do exactly. Maybe they can actually cast things or something.
Can you defeat the Avenger, like to save your teammate?
Yeah, you could res the person quickly, or you can CC the Avenger.
Okay, so it just sounds like the Vindicators are just going to be.
They might have break bars. Do the Avengers have break bars, or do they just, you can stun them and be fine?
I have no idea.
Because I can imagine that would be the first thing that would make a Fractal Avenger more powerful, is give them a break bar instead of just being CC'd immediately. Also, apparently my Trin is no longer completely time gated on the transitions, so
that's good.
Yeah.
And also in the fractals, it's not a boss yet. The new NPC Doror, based off the Guild Wars 2 content creator Doror. Basically, you know, I'm sure people know here, but in case you don't, known for his fractal guides among other content. Basically, if you go to this vendor, he will sell you account augmentations, which are important to look at them as long-term goals, and they're basically good for players who constantly run fractals and have a lot of fractal currency to spend, because these are pretty pricey, and some of them actually require unlocking fractal one or completing fractal 100. Some require different tiers of the other previous ones, and
yeah, the first 2 you can buy, I think, just flat out. It might require one of the tiers of Fractal Mastery, but the XP and the Karma ones, at least tier 1, you can just buy. And then the 3rd one, you have to have a Fractal, you have to complete 100. And I think that's the one that gives you the baseline agony resist across your account.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm going to say this, I absolutely love stuff like this. Anything that can improve your account as a whole, I think is just absolutely fantastic. It's a great idea. So I am all for this, and I would love to see more stuff like this in the game.
And Chad is saying, I guess in reference to the Avengers and what were they called, Vindicators, they fight now, and you can CC them, and they come back and hit you. So you can stop them. That's at least a good.
So
thing.
Instead of just fixating on stomping someone, they actually fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
But some quality of life changes. Added Mystic Forge recipes with swappable stats to existing cosmetic infusions, such as Celestial Infusion, Chak Infusion, Ghostly Infusion, etc. So, yeah, I think that's fantastic. Added Mystic Forge recipes with swappable stats for rare infusions. added expertise and concentration infusions, added a right-click consume all option for fractal encryptions and keys, and when a party is defeated, Astral Force for Celestial Avatar and Life Force for Death Shroud will now refill. Now,
I really like
is that even in Fract? I thought that was more of a raid thing that people were talking about. Is that
was in raids?
I think it's a general thing now.
Oh, okay. So any group content. Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does sound like they're more Revengers instead of Avengers, which, you know, I think that's Vindicators. They're trying to prove themselves. But yeah, I think that's fantastic for, you know, Necros and Druids.
Well, Netcode dungeons are group content.
Oh,
that's open world PvE stuff. Come on.
And they have no plans on, but we'll get there. But I don't think anybody was shocked about that. But yeah, overall, how do you guys like the Fractal changes?
The Fractal team continues to make improvements on the Fractal system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The stuff you can buy from Duror, the account infusions, that is the epitome of this is something we want to be an end game. Those are long-term goals. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Good stuff. Quality of life. New Fractal. More rewards for long-term play.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Indeed. So also we got a new raid, but also raid improvements across the board. So first up, the new raid, the new wing will be Hall of Chains. An influx of murderous undead relentlessly hunt innocent worshippers of Grenth, infiltrate the underworld, and join the struggle for control over the fates of the living and the dead. So I guess this definitely
lightning.
Yeah. Wait.
Put the flashlight down, Deo.
Sorry. The worst part is this has a laser pointer feature, so it was stuck on that, so I was like, I gotta quickly click through. Anyway. But yeah, I guess this is in relation to those little events that we were talking about 2 weeks ago, I think. They just kind of kept increasing of like stuff was happening around the Shadow Behemoth and also in Lornar's Pass around the Grenth statue, where we saw skeletons and also Grenth worshippers that were killed. So
I'm still kind of disappointed that there wasn't a current events tag to this and possibly an update to the Shadow Behemoth, but oh well.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I have apparently been seeing popping up on Twitter is that people are complaining that the underworld is locked behind raid content.
Oh, you're not allowed to.
Oh my god! And I was having this conversation with two of my friends that were avid Guild Wars 1 players. Is that the underworld was endgame group content in Guild Wars 1. So why does it make sense that that would not be a thing in Guild Wars 2?
You're not allowed to
the slight problem with that is Guild Wars 1 was synonymous as Build Wars, and you could easily make a build and other builds that you would solo them, which from seeing that first boss, if I see someone solo that, I'm taking my hat off to you, because I don't think you can without breaking it.
The thing is with Guild Wars 1 Underworld, it was basically a raid where you had to, I think it was 7 different Grenth statues you had to clear out, and there are different events surrounding each. And over time people made like soloable builds, but you actually had to be good at those builds. And then at the end, the final boss was, it's not really a spoiler since Guild Wars 1, but last boss was Doom, and you actually had to like keep up the heals and other sorts of things in order to actually kill him.
Yeah, because I don't think you could revive in his room or something during the fight or something like that.
Yeah,
or it was harder too.
Yeah, and that was actually difficult and rewarding content to actually do. You cannot complain that that's a Guild Wars 2 as a raid.
Well, one of the things that I have seen brought up around that is that Guild Wars 2 has kind of, I don't want to say conditioned, because that might be
no, that's the right word.
It's kind of conditioned the player base to think that everything should be accessible, which I think is where raids are causing the most disconnect for a lot of people that are complaining about raids. And I don't know if I'll ever get, like, specifically for me, like, I don't know why people weren't already complaining about that with Fractals, because I don't know if I'll ever get the time to do Fractal 100. I want the Mistwild Greatsword because I think it looks awesome, but I don't know if I'll ever do it. I don't want to pay someone to carry me through it, because then it doesn't feel like I actually earned it, and I kind of want to actually be useful. Like, I want to have the skill to do something. That's why I'm doing Zero to Hero. Like, I want to get better at the game, so I play PvP. Makes me have better reflexes in dealing with, you know, cues and understanding how fights work. But it's okay if a game has content that you can't access. Really, it's okay.
So you were slightly talking about fractals, and Chad is saying that the patch notes seem to be incorrect concerning the infusion stat change, since it was already introduced for cosmetic infusions several patches before. What is new is that you now can change the normal +5 and +9 agony resistance in the Mystic Forge as well. So
if it has like a +5 agony, +5 condition damage, you could change that to like a power version, I guess.
Huh.
And
I'm okay with that.
And, actually, that's pretty nice.
Mac, as a kind of recap, like I said, I think we talked about 2 weeks ago or something. I think that's when it started to happen. Was we noticed that there were dead bodies that looked like researchers around Shadow Behemoth, which if you went on as a Necro, you had a little bit more extra dialogue of, like, it talked about something like, you know, they were priests of Grenth and stuff like that. But then I think the following week we saw like a red mysterious spirit, and then I think maybe like 1 week before that, so maybe it was like 3 weeks away, a lot of like skeletons were there after you've defeated Shadow Behemoth. But
I read that wrong. Hold on, because it's only the +9s, +9 agony, +5 whatever stat. Sorry, I read that wrong.
Oh, okay.
Which is still pretty nice though, because those are really expensive.
Anything that lets people change their build. Good for customization. I dig that.
And like I said, we're going to talk spoilers about as much as we know about the raid, because I don't think any of us have gone in it yet, but you know, there are things flying around that are easy to know, you know, if you haven't even gone into it. But like I said, we will save that for the spoiler section. But also, not just the new raid, but we got some love for the old raid wing. So Spirit Vale, players who fall into the River of Spirits while the Sabbatha encounter is active will now be teleported back to the main platform. Sabbatha's flame wall attack, Firestorm, has received general improvements to its collision detection.
You need to understand something about that firewall. That can be very tricky at times.
Anything that's an instant death mechanic really has to be very clear about where it's hitting you.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have it make it feel fair. Unless it's, you know, Sab's challenge thing where they made that.
It's a cone firewall instead of a line.
Oh, and I guess that might be confusing. I mean Super Adventure Box, not Sab as in short for Sabbatha.
That'd be amazing.
But, you know, Sab's, in crazy mode where it was like, this floor isn't a floor. Like, so.
Tribulation, yeah.
Yeah.
There's just lava underneath it. Bye!
Yeah. But there were some things you could pick up on it, but yeah, it was. But anyway, back to the raids. Jumping will no longer negate the teleport from Unstable Magic Spike, which are the blue teleport circles.
That worked? I had no idea.
I never did that.
Gorseval now has a facing arrow decal similar to Veil Guardian, and Gorseval's prisons now receive conditions and critical hits.
That
good.
The Condian critical hit on the prisons on Gorseval, that should have been a thing from the beginning.
Yeah,
because
it's nice. So hopefully more people can get into it. But revealed is no longer permanently applied when Gorseval is engaged.
Yes. I can backstab.
Boss attacks now have more information in the combat log, always a good thing. And all bosses are no longer immune to weakness. And I think this is across all raid wings, even including the new one.
Well, they did just say, well, it's under...
Yeah, but I thought later they actually said it was across all of them. Or...
Now, my question is, does that mean that we have glancing hit on everything? Because I know if they were immune to it, they were still treated as though they had it. So, like, because I know there's some Daredevil stuff where if you strike a target with weakness, you do more damage or you get endurance back or something like that. So, the other thing is weakness does damage to break bars.
Maybe that's one. Really?
Yeah, it does ticking damage to break bars, I believe. But if that affects boss damage, that's a really big deal.
Yeah,
wrong, QED.
Really
best change ever was keyring. We've already established that. This one's very good.
Keyring was already the best change ever in this patch.
No, but yeah, I think everybody likes that because I mean we're actually being able to use conditions that our characters have. I always hate that going into a dungeon or boss thing. It's like, oh, that's how you made it hard. Half of the things don't work that my character can do. Thanks. Like,
oh, it's for weavers. Okay.
Oh, that's a change for weavers, not for thieves. I understand. Okay.
Well, everybody can benefit from it. It's okay.
Yeah. No, it's elementalist.
We're all friends here.
Feels bad. Anyway. No, it's still good for thief though.
So Salvation Pass improved messaging on Slothazar's Tantrum telegraphs. Boss attacks now have more information in the combat log. Okay, and achievement tracking effect has been added to environmentally friendly. And saboteurs now have veteran status to assist with tab targeting.
That's actually really helpful.
I had no idea that it was enemy difficulty that affected tab targeting. I had no idea it gave preferential treatment to veterans, elites, champions, legendaries because of that.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense too that they actually do it like that, because if you want to focus on some other thing, you would click on that thing and then you just kill it, then you just tab back to the
okay,
boss.
and chat's saying any condition that does not deal damage damages defiance bars. So basically any condition that goes gray when applied to an enemy with a defiance bar. So Stronghold of the Faithful. Boss attacks now have more information in the combat log, so it seems like it's across the board. Revealed is no longer permanently applied when the keep construct is engaged. Revealed is no longer permanently applied with the Zira fight when she's engaged. Fixed an issue that prevented the Radiant and Crimson phantasms from disappearing. And fixed an issue in which conditions could damage the keep construct while invulnerable, allowing for phases to be skipped. So
that was annoying. That happened to me a few times.
And I know we've talked about this in the past because they were saying they wanted to do this for the next update, and they kept their word. The Raid Mastery track, if locked, will now be hidden. This has been done to allow players who do not participate in raids to gain experience towards Spirit Shards. Completing any encounter inside of a Heart of Thorns raid will unlock and make visible the Raid Mastery track. Now, does the same go with... Because, yeah, is there a... I'm assuming there's a Raid Mastery for...
They said they weren't going to do that.
Okay,
nope.
So they're...
Well, no Raid Mastery for Poth.
Okay.
There's no more Raid Masteries.
Okay, so... Alright, well, at least that's nice.
Yeah, I think they changed and they made a change to the Raid Mastery in Heart of Thorns, that everyone can use the rifts natively.
Yes.
It's just... Or was that the next change that I completely missed?
It's a couple down. It's the Rift Traveler Mastery has been renamed Rift Forger. travel via ley rifts is now available to all players, which is what Jim's talking about. And the Rift Forger mastery will allow players to repair their armor. So,
yeah, it's actually really nice because if you bring like a new person in, like they haven't done raids and you've progressed to like the second boss, they can just use the rift to get there.
You mean you don't want to wait for this new person? Like, oh, come on.
Or you could tell them to jump off a cliff and kill themselves, and then they get teleported to the waypoint.
I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that while they're waiting for him to run there, or waiting for them to run there. Be like, just kill yourself.
Well, how many times did you throw yourself off a cliff to unsummon your minions?
A lot. Basically, every time we attempted Veil Guardian. So various bosses now apply revealed directly to fixated targets and high toughness targets through attacks. Boons, barriers, and mounts are now removed more expediently when an event starts. Event failure. Okay, so it was across all the things, but event failure now refills Astral Force for Celestial Avatar and Life Force for Destral, as we talked about. Okay, so yeah, in the general, they also include all bosses are no longer immune to weakness. So I figured it was across the board. That was the weird thing about the patch notes. It's kind of like maybe it's separate teams, like maybe someone's specifically focusing on Spirit Veil, whereas someone was writing up the thing for general or something, because it did seem like it was like all bosses are no longer immune to weakness, and then like every subcategory, hey, by the way, our bosses are no longer immune to weakness, which I'm glad they're getting the point across. But yeah, I was like, didn't you guys mention?
But damn, did we mention that all bosses are no longer immune to weakness?
Really? I heard it was about a Weaver thing.
Actually, yeah, Weavers get 15% crit chance bonus against targets that have weakness on them. So yeah, that's a big deal.
and Tavik saying he jumped off cliffs for the fun of it. I had a reason.
Well, that's what we did on our Fractal nights. So
yeah. So boss encounters had incongruent toughness values across the board, with a few exceptions. All encounters have had their toughness normalized, such as Veil Guardian, Keep Construct, and McLeod the Silent remain unchanged. So it sounds like the rest of them had them readjusted.
Okay.
Is that a worrying thing?
Well, that depends on where they got adjusted to. Are they adjusted up or down? We don't know.
I think I heard, I forget what group it was. I think they said Gorseval's toughness was raised, but I don't know about if people went through all the other ones. But you know, we'll probably find that out in the coming months when people beat the new one and are putting them all on farm status. But PvP, players can no longer mount or glide in the free-for-all arena found in the Heart of the Mist. So
thank God. No, that was annoying when people just ran away from the damn fight by gliding and try to come back in. So stupid.
It's a legitimate strategy.
This is just my entire thought on the free for all area. I don't care. I don't go there. I don't go near it. I don't.
Oh man, I live in PvP. I mean, I am.
I know. I can't get you to play anything but PvP.
Yeah, I know.
It was a pain getting you to do that Fractal on Tuesday.
I know. I was like, but PvP.
PvE is Dale's PvP.
I'm sure that the arena just hires a bunch of people to play NPCs. But chat saying Sloth is a pain with almost plus 500 toughness. Maybe that was the one I was thinking of. I know someone was saying one of them they raised the toughness, and I think it was around 500. So
man, I didn't think they needed to raise Slothosaur's toughness, because that last 15-20% is just madness without trying to damage the boss in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you can apparently still Mesmer can portal away, I guess, in the PvP area, and there's still a blind spot that anyone can get to it and be out of combat. Well, hopefully
honestly, I'm legitimately surprised that they added they did anything with that free for all area. It's not like it's supposed to be real PvP. So I don't know. It's just my thought on it. I didn't really expect them to do anything with it other than like, here, go punch
Yeah, it
each
almost
other
seemed
while you're
like it
waiting
was
for
like
your
a
nephews.
fun thing for like the champions to overlook on, like, haha, kill for my amusement, like type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
but it's good that they're, you know, caring about it.
Mm.
But yeah, that's it for the patch stuff. Like I said, we're gonna save spoiler stuff for the end of the show. But like most patch updates, especially story ones, they usually have an AMA, which this one was no exception. So,
Can I just say something real quick?
Stop having the AMA the same night.
Yeah.
I understand if it's like that's the best time to like have an AMA for you guys, since like you're just waiting for all the feedback and the bugs to come in, but it's not enough time for people to actually experience a majority or a good amount of the content to actually have decent feedback. So these are more like asking about the things that they could see in a few hours and ask questions about that. That's
No, and
really
I've heard some people say this is why they do it at that time. I don't know either way. I'm not in their boardroom or plans on these. I can see both sides of it. That's up for the player base and to decide individually. And I'm sure, Arena has their answer. They probably won't say it's like, oh yeah, I really doubt Arena it's going to come out and say, oh yeah, that's why we hold it like a couple hours after, because we don't want you actually asking us things. No dev's going to say that. But if that is the case, that, we unfortunately don't know. But Mo did actually start off the AMA saying like, basically the general stuff as, before about it's the involving the devs that done the story, the raid stuff, all that. But he also did say that he was officially passing the reins over to Mike Z as the new game director, which we did talk about maybe a couple weeks ago. I think was when they first said that they were gonna make Mike Z the game director, but now he's making it official, where I guess between this time he was kind of now I have to Mike, and I apologize as someone that has probably bad of a name, Zadorajny. Yeah, that's not even close.
Zadorajny?
Sure. Zadorajny. I mean, if you want to say it correctly and all that stuff, fine. But people do refer to him as Mike Z. That's why I was going with Mike Z.
I know, I just like
chat saying just call him Z. Say. But yeah, he's been there. I remember seeing him for leading into Guild Wars 2. I think in Guild Wars 1, like he originally started as a QA developer or something like that, and then slowly worked through the ranks, if I remember correctly. But he's been
around.
Yeah, he's been majorly involved in the Guild Wars games. So happy to see him finally as the game director officially. But of course that is not all that was talked about in the AMA. So we're not gonna probably talk about everything, but I mean, if chat you found a couple things that you want us to definitely talk about or discuss, and I'm sure we have a couple that we want to talk about, but which ones did you guys maybe pull out that you thought were
the trailer marketing one was an interesting one?
Oh yeah, we can talk about that. And actually they had eventually they had a forum discussion about it where well, actually this leads into the one on the forums, but the trailer marketing thing, a lot of people, and I think a lot of people said it last week when we were talking about the teaser trailer, was trailers that don't show much content. And they talked about we have a delicate dance in which they want to show as much of the new content as they can to their fans, while they also want to have a strong desire to not spoil any of the reveals and surprises within. So they said they will take that feedback into consideration and look at how they make that, balance a little bit better.
Yeah.
Actually, Creox, that's a whole nother section in our show notes for that particular response. So we'll get to that.
So kudos to you for asking that question.
Yeah.
For the trailer stuff, I found that in the one that they put on the forums, I'm like, why are these quotes? Because for those who didn't see it, it's
well, I would say I have the video here, and before I play it, because this is unlisted, but since they did show, like, reveal it as this was going to be one that they were going to do eventually, but I know they said somewhere, like, before we showed, I want to say that their goal with this was, and I think it's an important one. I gotta find it in here. Where was it?
Okay.
Here, I'll start to. Yeah. Basically, the mentality was I was gonna try to find the direct quote, but the mentality behind it was they wanted it from new players, like that just started playing, not because I know I've seen a lot of comments that have kind of, I don't think, took that idea into consideration. While I do agree with them, but
yeah,
as you can kind of see, there's quotes but go ahead, Age.
This is kind of the problem with the thing I have, like all these quotes, they're not meaningful in terms of telling me like usually quotes when they come from anyone, it's from like game sites or news sites. Like if it was a quote from MMORPG from a review there, like that would make sense. But if like Frostfang 5109, I'm sure you have like, I'm sure like your opinion is solid, but like it doesn't have as much impact as a like MMORPG, IGN, that type of thing. So that was one of the problems I had with it. The second problem I had with it is just going over. You're not really, how I say this, you're not really going over the beauty of the maps. Rather than, like, I would like some like landscapes, kind of like this one right here, like a little bit more of those, rather than just a whole bunch of mount boss engagements type of deal. But
I can't. All of these are just glowing. Like these are cherry picked, glowing. Oh yeah, this is amazing. Kind of stuff.
And see, that's always the problem when I see the ... the ellipses there.
Like what else are you taking out?
Yeah, what's the rest of the sentence? Because I mean, theoretically, and I was gonna mock this up, but I didn't want it to spread around because I don't want it to sound mean. It's kind of related to the next topic of, because Mo says in one of the things about the mount thing, but I could take a snippet of it. It's the whole sentence is, also, Guild Wars 2 isn't set up to support an enjoyable experience of browsing through a large catalog of style items, so players tend to not do that. I could do quotes, Guild Wars 2 isn't set up to support an enjoyable experience, ... Like, that changes the message completely. Like, could someone have said, like, on like one of those ones, like, I enjoyed the landscape, it was a little difficult as a new player, or something, but they were like, let's take this portion. Did they do that? I have no idea.
Yeah,
only the people know that
little short quotes like this are terribly easy to skew, and it's not a great way to do anything. And then I also kind of have to agree with Age's point is that like they're using a mix of real names and Guild Wars 2 name tags, which is the name dot for numbers.
There's no system for it. Like some of them might be character names. Some of them might be
some of them are names, some are character names.
It's when new players are looking at trailers, they want and they see like all these quotes. They're technically taken from reviews from game sites. That's what I would fully expect, and this is why it's so confusing. It's like, okay, this like 9 players like this game, but like, why should I take their opinion over a game site's? For example, those who do this for a living, who review games for a living.
And I agree with like what Chad is saying of like, you know, my first reaction as well was like, why should I care about these, like who these people are? Because they've been also tweeting out these like still images of same quotes, and I think people have kind of gotten irritated with those of like, you're preaching to the choir. But honestly, like I said, I think it's an important thing to establish. Their goal was to try to get more people in with, though I think they needed to set up that these were random players more so, because my question was going to be, because I thought of the like what they were saying before, this trailer made me think no wonder what they wanted to go with word of mouth advertising. Did Mo say that in a video, or was that just text? Because honestly, if you're doing a trailer, I would have loved to have seen like the start being like, you know, because I was like, did he say that during the POF announcement where he wanted us to be more word of mouth, or was that only in text? Because okay, text.
It was only in
I was gonna
text.
say, if he actually said that, I would have loved to have seen him say that, and it kind of like, you know, fade into all this to set it up as these are random new players or something like that. Because right now you're just like, who's Amcel Diabolic? Like, who was so and so dot, you know, like everybody's saying 3714.
The start of the word of mouth advertising is when they put the Colin train on the reserve track. Is when the hype train got put into storage, and they're like, we want you guys to generate the hype. Which, okay, yeah, sure. But going back to them actually talking about generating a trailer, which we were kind of originally talking about, and what they do and do not reveal, I kind of feel for the marketing team on that. Like the actual trailer that they released is like trying to create something that gives you just enough of the story that's coming out, but not enough to be spoilery and enough to hook you, to make you want to log in and play.
Mm-hmm.
That is, they did say it's a very delicate dance, and it totally is.
Yeah.
The second thing, and you brought up the stuff, the blurbs they're putting on Twitter, it is remarkably tone deaf after Mount Gate.
Yeah, that wasn't.
I tweeted about
bad timing.
I tweeted up when they put the mounts out originally. It felt super scummy because literally every tweet for like a solid 24 hours after the fact was retweets of people being like, I got just the mount I wanted. And I saw that and I'm like, this is bad. And now you're throwing out these contextless, glowing approvals of the game, of the expansion, from people that nobody knows who they are. There's no like marketing push behind, like Deo said, there's no push that says, hey, these are new players. These are people who have never played Guild Wars before, and they're getting into Path of Fire. This is what they think. This is what you'll think if you pick up Guild Wars 2, Path of Fire, because you're a new player. Look at these new people enjoying this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no message to it.
Yeah.
It's just, here is a quote.
What they should have done is, what do you guys think of the Daybreak trailer?
I mean, I thought it was like the other. I felt it was like a lot of the other trailers where you had clips going in and out of new stuff and old stuff. Like,
okay, but did you? What I liked about the Daybreak trailer is that it gave you a nice quick synopsis of the story, and in addition, it gives you like a little bit quotes about what's going to happen in the next story, but without giving away what the story is. That's what I want from a trailer directed towards new players. Set them up with the basic premise of the story with some like voice acted quotes, and then you could go into like different panoramic scenes, all that stuff, mounts, Balthazar, undead, awakened, whatever, and have that combination of different scenes. And then you could like end with like Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire. That's what I would like out of a trailer. That's I've made like fan made trailers too, and I just feel like giving the person an understanding what the game is about, in addition to some of the cool scenery and mobs you could be fighting and different encounters. That's what I feel like would get people interested in Guild Wars.
Yeah, and I see chat talking about it, like, could it be seen as false advertisement, even like an incomplete sentence? No, because technically what you're typing into the... First off, let's go with the toss. Most tosses in the game, I haven't gone through each one and read it, the terms of service for anybody that doesn't know. You're basically buying a license. Like, you technically don't own any game you pretty much have. Like, you have a license to it. And a lot of times you can read in there, if you're typing something on their forums or anything like that, technically those are... They can use your words to market without your, paying or anything like that. So I'm sure none of these people got any like residuals or anything like that. The YouTube monies. But
there's less of that going around apparently. But that's a topic for later.
What is that can of worms you just opened there, Age?
Put it back.
But I mean, you see this in journalism all the time. I mean, you have the ... That usually means there's more to a statement. They just decided to end it early, which sometimes usually means for their benefit, or it could also mean there just wasn't really information that helped, talks about the thing. And you also see, like, in journalism, they have the bracket, and then, basically means they took a chunk out of the center or something like that. Like, so... is it false advertisement? If it is, then all of journalism and everything we have is screwed. but it does follow.
That's an interesting other can of worms you just opened there, John.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Please don't. Please
put it back.
I will say that for later. But yeah, there's a lot of can of worms that we could open, because I was thinking of one later on about. Anyway.
We're very good about tangents.
Yeah. But so is it false advertising? No, for me, no more so than anything else. It's just people have to. It's a marketing tactic that people just need to be educated about to see through it. Ideally, but.
Yeah. I think hopefully the feedback that they get from these, because it looks like the marketing team is actually looking for the feedback, because usually I don't see follow-up on the forums about that. So it's actually pretty nice. And they also it was also posted to Reddit, so they can get feedback from that as well. So they're taking into account. And
I think most of the ones I've seen there, they've been constructive, and that's the important part. Like, we're not going like, you don't see us sitting here going, this is the worst thing ever, they should just be all fired. Like, no one's gonna listen to you like that. Be like, oh, I thought it could have been better here, or I think that, like, a lot of people were like, I felt the quotes from random players was disingenuous, but that's why I also wanted to throw that their point was saying that this was from newer players. It's just never really established. Like, if you're just shown this, that's why I was like, if Mo at the time, if he would have said that out loud, like in a video, like use that portion, be like, oh, we want our players to be our advertisers, and then that would have made a little bit more sense. But kind of like we're all sitting here going, so who's
or
this
even
person?
If they would have thrown the quote up of Mo saying that, Mike O'Brien, like head of ArenaNet.
Yeah,
we want our players to be our advertisers. Then launching into all of these clips with the quotes.
Yeah, maybe say
up.
like, and this is what they had to say, and like, dun, 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 like. Because I don't know how well it did, but what was the one, like, was the first couple years or something where, was it Guild Wars 2? Now I'm like questioning myself. Didn't they have like a oath that you could like record yourself doing, and like they did like a bunch of, I think it was like during Winter's Day or something, but it was like some kind of oath of fighting or something. Like,
sounds like something Blizzard would do for WoW.
I think it was Guild Wars 2 that did it, if I remember correctly, because I actually wanted to do it, because I currently really don't play Blizzard games anymore. But I want to say it was sometime during December, because I wanted to do something like that, and my idea was to break out, like pack myself in snow and break out of it, because I was Norn. What? But oh, okay, someone's the oath. I was gonna say I forgot what it was, but. there was some kind of oath of like, I will cast out bad games or something like that. Like it was, I'm not doing it justice, but it was not, I think it was well written for a kind of PR oath thing, but
oh boy,
it's not as bad as the launch trailer.
But yeah.
There's nothing else that's sticking out to me about the AMA here, other than the mount thing that Creox was talking about.
For me, I was say Toypocalypse. Apparently, you will be able to enter Toypocalypse as a team this year. There will be 2 entrances, one for pre-made groups and one for players who want to be match made into a team like last year. So, finally, like insert
Hopefully
the Rock saying
carry
that.
over into everything after it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and I like the sigil swapping one as personally, since I have a lot of legendaries. I would like to swap sigils from time to time because then I could just get rid of my Condi daggers.
Yeah, and what Age is referring to is someone asked about sigil swapping on legendary weapons, since we kind of have that for runes on armor. And they said, as we looked into how to support sigil swapping on legendary weapons, it opened up the investigation to larger issues with the system as a whole. It is something I still would like us to address, but we want the design team to take the time to do it right, which at least last time they were like, we were worried about the economy. So it seems like they're fine with it now. Hopefully.
What larger issues? Elaborate, ArenaNet.
Yeah.
That might be like a whole,
like, even if it's something like a super high level of like there are technical limitations, not like before they said it was the economy, and okay, I was accepting of that. They worried about the economy. This is there are issues. What kind of issues?
I'm going to be assuming it's old tech stuff.
Like just say that. Just like it's an old system. Just being able to do it isn't something we can do, and it'll take longer than just doing it. It's not flipping a switch. All I want.
Yeah.
The gods took it with them.
I'll assume it's because like legendary weapons are part of the old system, and raid armor was made like with the new system intact, so it was it just design rune swapping right there. So going back, it would kind of make sense if they can't support sigil swapping in that respect.
But I want to add kind of one that I found that made me happy. I didn't make a certain purchase in the gem store. The issue of Unbound Magic into Volatile Magic. So while this is a kind of talk about into the Living Story stuff, it's not really a huge spoiler. I mean, but Unbound Magic in Season 3 was the across-season currency, and this season they changed it into Volatile Magic. Well, they added new Volatile Magic. So now we have Unbound Magic for Season 3 and Volatile Magic for Season 4. And a lot of people are saying, wondering, like, why? And a lot of people assumed back then, because I think they kind of talked about, like, oh, this is going to be kind of a across-season currency, which I remember I thought of it as maybe that's only just this season, but a lot of people were hoping it was just season-wide.
Yeah, I know I read that as every living season you will just use Unbound Magic, but apparently I was wrong. So
no, they wouldn't do that, because then you'd be able to just save up Unbound Magic and walk into a new map
and that was kind of their thing. They didn't want people to just walk in day one and buy all the stuff. Which once again, I'm glad I didn't buy the Unbound Magic tools, because they actually brought them back. Maybe it was for the Black Friday sale, or it might have been a little bit before that, but I was sitting there going, oh, maybe I should get those, because maybe they're going to be the season. But in the end, I was like, I really don't think this is going to be the season currency like it was for Season 3.
In the end, it's not a terrible thing to do, to buy them, because you can buy like obsidian shards with Unbound Magic. It's not like Unbound Magic is now useless.
Oh no,
because it's not the season currency.
Yeah,
no, that is true.
I still like them because I do like it. It's my main source of obsidian shards now, and I could still make some like Viper trinkets, so it's overall it's still pretty good. So
It's still very useful. So
yeah,
That is a good point. Yeah, like, but for me, Obsidian Shards wouldn't have been enough for someone that already. And I like the visual of the Unbound Magic gathering tools, but that wasn't I already have 2 sets. If I could trade some in, or they were skins that, well, actually, skins have kind of skyrocketed in price, so maybe not skins, because I would have expected them to be a little bit of less value. But who knows nowadays?
speaking of skins,
I was going there. So another thing, and like we talked about, was said earlier, was we kind of separated this specifically from the AMA, but it was Mike O'Brien coming out on basically the 2K gem mount skins, and he says, "Oh boy, maybe we should take this into sections."
I really don't think we need to read it.
yeah.
If we want, we can throw. If anybody's wondering, do we have the link for this, Deo? Yeah, there we go.
It should be at the top there.
Got it. Yeah, go through that in chat. This is a non-response. This is literally empty PR speak. There is nothing here that we did not know already, and it explains nothing new to us. It explains no additional thinking. Creox is kind of a take it or leave it kind of thing. Now, the problem I do have in this discussion, what was that? Where was that quote you pulled, Deo, about the store?
Oh, I think it was like the 3rd paragraph. Yeah, 3rd paragraph.
Guild Wars
also
2 isn't set up to support an enjoyable experience of browsing through a large catalog of style items. Then fix it. It's your game.
Well, I think it's because, like we talked about the past, it's a browser base. Like, people in the past have looked.
If you know HTML, like, this is what I do every day. HTML and CSS. This is not difficult. Design a better system.
If Black Desert could do it, I mean,
it's this artificial scarcity, which we've talked about before. This excuse that it is difficult for them to hold many items in the gem store is nonsense. If it is a browser, then treat it like a browser and give us a better browser, because it will only end up with them making more money because there is more stuff for people to buy. It's like the comment that Inks always had, is that there is stuff on sale, not for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. My kind of going off that, if taking them at face value of, this is a finite, like the browser thing and all that stuff. It's like, then that kind of tells me that you didn't have good planning, because if people, these are the people that are backing it. The gem store is the backbone, that this is where they make their money. So they have a weak backbone. Basically, their foundation is crap. Like,
if you're saying money. This is, like they're saying, if this is supposed to support the game, make it better.
Yeah, it's like,
make it have a more robust selection so you can make more money more often.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, go into Rift if you can.
Oh my God.
That's how they make theirs. Boy, oh boy, do they have a catalog. Like, it is.
Oh my God.
You can find pretty much anything, and then they throw in the seasonal stuff rotated in, but like, I don't know if things leave that store. Like,
Rift's in-game, like, cash shop is like browsing a freaking, like, company page on Amazon. It's pretty complete. And the thing that, and Creoxy is bringing up exactly what I'm talking about. They put out these ticket systems, these items. Like, they put out the adoption license thing. Instead of it being a random item, just double click it. It opens the little merchant window. It's like, pick a skin.
But that doesn't make them as much money.
Well, I'm not talking about specifically, the black hole that is loot boxes. I'm talking specifically about if you've got an item.
But I got the can of worms right here. Do I want to
put it back? Put it back on the shelf. We'll talk about it later. in after show. That's what after show is for. But it's one of those things where it's like you have a system where you have clearly shown that you can just pop up a little invisible vendor all the time, and that's what like the mini tickets are. Is it pops up a little invisible vendor NPC that you access. Stuff that are like a weapon set that if they ever bring back the legacy armors or the armors, the Zodiac armors. Zodiac armor skin pops up a little vendor. Zodiac armor skin ticket pops up a little vendor. You can pick light, medium, or heavy. They cost the exact same. You buy one ticket, you can reclaim it for one item. You get the box in your mail, or just straight into your inventory from the little mini vendor.
And Jaibu Cool brings up a good point, and I think we talked about that in the past, is like, you know, not all these are equal in price, and that's why I think those like tickets should have been 400, but they're definitive ones, but maybe it's like, oh, you want the higher tier ones? They're 2 tickets or for currency, so they're 800. Granted, I don't think I would have been like 1,200 for a nice mount skin. That's a bit much, but I could see it's like if I hit a point where I'm like, oh, that would be perfect, I would probably do. I thought the look on the original 2K mount was cool, but I'm like, there's no way I am buying it for $25, and that's personally me.
Yeah.
And the one you're going to see later, I just am not a.
We want to just bring
look for, but
I know that's gem store stuff, but I don't want to bring that forward into this. I'll get into that there, but this response is not a response, and I am kind of annoyed that the man who said we want you to advertise our game is it, and I don't think that Mo is a mean-spirited or like look down his nose at you kind of guy, but that's what this response is. It's condescending. It comes across as condescending.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with Chad about the two. We'll talk about it when we get to the this week's 2K mount skin. Yeah, it wasn't my type of. It wasn't my flavor of mount.
This
but,
week's 2K mount skin.
Yeah, when I said that, I was like, that could be a segment, and that's scary.
Oh man,
outfits 2.0.
Yeah.
The thing is, from what I read is that there was this part here. I think where is it? Givers 2 is a content-rich online world with no monthly fee, so it's great overall value with microtransactions doing the heavy lifting of funding continued development of the game. It shouldn't also be our goal to have the lowest price microtransactions. I don't think anyone's asking for the lowest price. I think we're just asking for a fairer price. But the thing is, as long as enough people who aren't even the people on Reddit, they're literally not the people on Reddit. They're just the people who play the game without any real knowledge of anything beyond probably the patch notes, and they just buy the mount skins, and because they want to either have them, they whale them, or support the game, what have you. As long as ArenaNet has enough of those players buying the skins, it doesn't matter what we think, as long as the game is getting supported. And actually,
MMO Bomb's Freecast, they've actually talked about this response as well. It's like one of the first segments. I might have to wait to get a link for chat, but I'll try to throw it in the show notes on YouTube. But and it's a great thing that they said in the past that this is one of the statements where they should have stopped while they were ahead, like in the statement, because once they get to that Guild Wars 2 as a content rich thing, that's where for them, that's where they started to get lost with it. Is so it's a great overall value with microtransactions doing the heavy lifting of funding continued development of the game, which once again I still say, if that's the case, you still have a weak backbone of the gem store itself. Like, you have a weak aspect that is your biggest selling point. That isn't good. Like, honestly, when POF was coming out, I was like, I'm gonna make, they brought out the Abaddon helmet. I'm like, I'm making my Guardian look like Abaddon. I wanted to do old school Abaddon, which was the depths. I was like, be perfect, the bubble glider. Click, click, click. Oh, it's not available. Okay, well, maybe I'll want it when it comes out. The fist torch weapon, the touch of madness. I kind of went back to my outfit, so I won't get the bubble glider. You probably could have got 600 gems out of me from that kind of thing, but you couldn't have it available because your gem store is small, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But actually, the interesting part that they talk about on the MMO or FreeCast is it shouldn't also be our goal to have the lowest priced microtransaction. Actually, as a business, yes, it is, because you're saying with no monthly fee, so it's great overall, content rich online world. You're also competing with things like, and this is what they brought up. What's the Warframe? And they're like, if I can get something better, and this is actually free to play, not buy to play. If I can get something at better value that's flashier or more to your taste, depending, because that's subjective, I'm gonna spend my money there. So you kind of do want a competitive thing, because honestly, if I'm paying $25 in Guild Wars 2 and maybe I play WoW on the side, $25 there. Well, all my friends play WoW. I'm gonna buy the $25 amount there where I can show it off to all my friends.
And quite honestly, actually, that's what happened with the whole mount fiasco thing. Because I wanted to buy a mount, but I didn't. But then League of Legends came out with the new project skin, so I'm like, I'm gonna just buy
those. I knew you were gonna go in on those.
I'm not. Well, it's like
you can't help yourself, can you?
I really can't. I spent way too much, but I bought like last year's too. So, and I don't play League a lot. I play like once every 4 months. I'm gonna try to be more regular about it, but since I spent so much, but. Like, that's where my money's gonna go if like I don't like what's in the gem store, I guess. So
okay, Chad is saying Warframe has $80 skins. Do they also have lower skins? Like,
and there's stuff. There are frames that you can get in game,
like the
weapons.
The reason people are annoyed with a 2,000 gem mount skin is because your only other options are bundles that cost close to the same, or a loot box.
Yeah.
If there were purchase, like I think someone brought up higher up to say that, if there would have been 200 to 400 for the random adoption license, but scaling up 200 gems for simple recolor with the 4 dye channels for 600, the different models for the 800, and the particle effects for 1,000, people wouldn't care. People would be okay with that. But because that our option is 2,000 bundle, 1,600 to 2,000, or 2,000 special mount, 1,600 to 2,000 bundle, or RNG box. That's why people are mad. It's not necessarily the existence of an expensive skin. Nobody minds that. But it's the options that are below that are the problem.
Yeah. It's just that there's nothing in the gem store for people who want to buy mount skins. People want to support the game, but the options are random, super expensive, or bundle.
A bunch of mounts that you might not ever actually use.
Yeah.
That, and Jabu brought up the content rich comment. Remember that giant ramble we had about subjective value?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I've talked before about, WW players, is there haven't been any updates to this game. There's been no updates to WW, to your game, the part that you only play. There's updates other places, PvP, PvE, it's there, but content rich is subjective. There are going to be people who don't give a single care about the story that just got released.
Yeah.
No content for them in this patch.
And I will throw this. I found the link for that for MMO Bomb's free to play cast this week, and like I said, it's one of the first things they talk about for the Guild Wars 2's mount thing, and they are fair about they talk about, like, they understand that the point of these being at this price. Yes, some will buy it, but this is a simple business strategy of do as little work as you can for as much money as you can, like, type of mentality. Because are they truly like I can't even fathom that they're truly saying that this took as much effort as the expansion, like one of the mounts. If that is the case, they got like they got a lot of design 101 people there, like that are just starting. Like
I don't like comparing expansion prices to like the gem store.
Well, but I'm saying the price that you're paying, like the monetary value that you're putting into the system, how much are you getting out of it?
Yeah, I know, but it's like how much are gliders? Like gliders are like what, $5?
It's anywhere from 5 to 800. I think the 800 ones are the ones that were like bundles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are like backpack combos. But it's like gliders are like a tenth of hot price. Like you can't really compare that. Like a glider is not worth.
That is a good point.
That's why I don't really like that comparison. I feel because expansions are meant to generate a large source of revenue, and the gem store is supposed to generate revenue over time. It will never generate as much as an expansion would.
But it's supposed to be the guaranteed over time purchases, which again we go back to the weak backbone thing, because are those 2,000 gem mounts, like, is the reforged Warhound still available, or is it gone? If it's gone, why is it gone? Why are you removing the things you're trying to make money on?
They really don't have enough. Yeah, this is one of the problems I think that they have. They just don't have enough room for mounts, because there's and we go back to the mount adoption license thing, because they literally don't have. Yeah, they literally don't have the room. That's why they put a lot of them in the mount adoption license. Which one of the reasons probably. And I think if they just, instead of putting, I have a whole design in my head, I won't go into it actually, but basically if they redesigned it to make it so that you could support a lot of options, you know, it would be better for the game overall. I guess you could make some scarcity items as well, but like not like half the things in the gem store have to be gone type of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, without getting into the RNG loot box thing all over again, like I just noticed that, you know, MMO Bomb and, you know, the free to play cast talked about that, and it's I did like that they compared it to other games, which is that argument a lot of people say, and oh boy, I don't want to open that can of worms because I'll say something else that a lot of people use to defend it. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. I'm sure this won't go away next week, so if we need to, we can talk about it then. Yeah. Yeah, maybe stuff that this is mean. Maybe there's other things that might end up in the gem store. Hopefully they won't be 5,000 gems or something like that.
You can't do that transition. You can't really. Oh, that would be so cruel.
I think this was brought up in the AMA, and then it almost felt like it was like, oh yeah, we forgot about this. Let's put out that blog post, like, because I think someone mentioned it in the AMA or like earlier in the week of like, so when are you guys picking those design a weapon contest winners? Like, and then all of a sudden this week they're like, oh hey, here's the blog post about that might be the cynical side of me. I don't know, but like I said, I'm not in their boardroom saying, you know, we totally forgot about this, we got to put it in. But so the design a weapon contest winners, here's the list of all of them. So remember, the first three, first, second, and third place, are going to be inspirations into the game. So, and that's important to note. I guess they're not going to be 1-to-1 or as best as possible. You know, they use inspiration, so that gives them some wiggle room. But you saw the first image that first place was the Torch by Mike B. Second place was the Greatsword by Glaciation. Third place was the Sword by Enigma Hyena. And as we progress through, and those are the three that are going to be the created into the game, or inspirations into the game. Fourth place was Damascus. Fifth place, Arctarius. Sixth place, oh boy, Nephi Ferry. Seventh place, Wraith. Eighth place, Scythe Age. Hey, is he related to you, Age?
No.
Oh. Ninth place, Marmarello. 10th place, Makubek. 11th place, Betty. Thank you, Betty, for having that name. 12th place, Setius. 13th place, Altapir. 14th place, Jimgao. 15th. Hey, Jim, are they related to you? No? Okay. Is it you?
Oh, God, no. I have no artistic talent.
15th place, Lulu. 16th place, Hanako. 17th place, Durs. 18th place, Josie. 19th place, Litzeron. And 20th place, Chien. So,
Yeah.
and if I said those names wrong, I apologize. I think everybody knows how great I am with names, especially if you were watching earlier with poor Mike Z's name. I apologize again.
So sad my dagger sword didn't win.
Well, don't worry. The best one won, Torch.
I do admit Torch was actually really good.
You know, I have to hand it to
Okay.
him. I didn't think that one would win.
The Torch? The Torch was really good. I definitely thought it was going to take a top 3. It was really well designed.
Yeah, I think he completely missed that one.
What's the Torch skin? Age, come on. He had to hand it to him. Okay, there we go.
I'm just trying to ignore it. I really tried just not.
Don't ignore it. Just accept it. Just sigh and let it go.
Okay.
But honestly, I think all of these were fantastic. I mean, we even talked about some that didn't even make the cut that were just stunning as well. Like, so many talented people out there. So congratulations to, the people that
I kind of
placed.
have to agree with.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
have to agree with QED. I like the Sand Dagger. I think I voted for that one.
I have to say, like, for all the artists, I know, like, some of you might be a little disappointed, but keep in mind, out of 900 people,
900 plus, you were
in
in
the
the top 20.
That's pretty damn good. So, if they have a contest like this next year, you know what your competition is. So, there you go.
But yeah, so big congrats to all of them, and can't wait to see how they're brought into the game. So how they look
That's
and how they, I'll say how they look and how you can obtain them.
Oh, they're going to be gem store items.
Don't say that.
What do
Hey,
you
it could be
think
worse.
it's going to be?
It could be worse. That could be Black Lion chest items.
Please just please just put them as like achievements. Please.
I need to get a prop, but this will do it for now. I can open the can of worms.
Put it down. Put that peanut butter down. Damn it.
Anyway, let's move on from design a weapon contest stuff and possibly being in the gem store to banning. Such a happy story. But this one is actually a good one. So apparently they are banning some PvP bots. So on the forums, Chris Cleary heard the response from PvP players that bots were in their games. And he said, this should be handled now. I just initiated a wave that should clean this out. I kind of want to see an animation of that. That just sounds amazing. Sorry. Please do keep reporting them. We are always watching.
Oh, yeah. That second bullet point, that's legit in the forum post.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, if you go to the forum post, it literally says, insert Thor smashing hammer into the ground gif, which please tell me there is one there.
It's legitimately that is.
If I would, that's amazing.
So I think I ran into one of these during Zero to Hero just this past week. There was a longbow ranger on Silent Storm. I was fighting on mid, and they were just up on top of the roof, above the gate down to where Tranquility is, and just auto attacking at random targets.
That sounds like it.
So I'm not surprised that there are bots. I really am not.
Yeah. I don't know why. Guess they want the free rewards.
Well, considering you can fail your way to the top tier rank chest, yeah.
But can that be the
seems
new
like a
banning?
problem.
Can that be the new banning bot? I mean, in Guild Wars 1, we had the Doom thing that came out and scythe people. Can we have
can't
like
have Doom because he's dead now.
Well, I was gonna say we have like basically Chris Cleary pop up, and he gives out a shout. He's like Chris or something, whatever.
Oh my God.
And it sends out a shockwave that it makes your character just look like what was it, Matrix, where they unplug the people. They're just like, "Nah."
God.
And he just disappears.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Oh, the bot in question was a Scourge, chat is saying.
Oh, that was the one Creox is saying. There's a video of a bot just kind of following someone around a boulder. Just
fantastic.
Don't open that can, Creox. Put it back.
Oh boy.
But yeah, so that's nice that they, and like chat was saying, they are always watching. So if you do run into these bots or anything like that, definitely report it, because I don't think their goal, even if people are sitting there going they hate PvP or something, I don't think they truly hate PvP or Warrior Road or your certain game mode. And even if they did, I don't think
they need
they're
a better report system.
That's true.
But
I don't think they're going to sit there going, no, we're not going to, ban people or something. Like, actually, that's a can of worms. Good thing Inks ain't here. But yeah, so good on them for banning some bots in PvP. But
okay.
Yeah, we kind of touched upon it here and there, but we're gonna go full force.
Points 2 and 3 first. Let's do points 2 and 3. Those will be quick.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's talk about the gem store, and always thank you to Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely, especially in a day and age of RNG. But let us first look at, we're just going to save that one. Hold on. First look at the Alonian Landscape Die Kit. These ain't much better to start off with.
Failed.
Points. Oh, no.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Alonian Landscape Die Kit. It is 1 for 125, 5 for 500, and 25 for 2500 gems. And these are the special dies that you can get out of it. And it is the Mesa, Sandstorm, Ruin, Oasis, Highlands, and Sulfur. But do remember that these select ones are in a pool of what 25 or 30, and it's once again a random chance at getting these special exclusive ones or general ones that you can usually get in game by normal means. I mean, thoughts.
My opinion on these things is very well known.
I was gonna say, has anybody's thoughts changed about these?
We need like a gif of like nothing. It's just doing this.
Internet, make it happen.
These things are, honestly, they're a terrible investment, but I think this is about the most harmless a loot box can get. Dies for a game. I honestly think that it's an interesting gamble for in-game gold, because if you get a good one, you can either use it and you have a rare die, or you can throw it up in the trading post and make a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
I think it's an adequate valve for their marketing team to use to keep people buying gems instead of just converting gold to gems.
Yeah.
This is the most harmless gambling bullshit.
And this is the ones I'm usually a fan of, because I tend to play Trove, and they kind of go with that in mind. It's harder to get some of the store items through in-game needs alone. It's possible through rare chest things, but people can buy them, and they usually have an option to buy that for themselves or buy it as an item, which then they can put on the trading post-esque type thing. So, this is just a random version of it. So, but yeah, honestly, and I think it stands, it is a risk you're taking, because it's like 6 out of a pool of like 25 or 30, 25. So if you have the in-game gold or probably the gems that you were probably going to put towards this, turn that into gold and try to buy them outright. I mean, because that's the only definitive way, because you might spend 125 gems and not get one of these dies. It's not guaranteed, unfortunately. But I think that's kind of been our stance on these all along. I mean, feel free to jump in if your guys' opinions have changed on these. Maybe you see them in a new light with all the other stuff.
My new light was saying they're the most harmless gambling bullshit.
Ah, okay. But yeah, another item that is returning, the Mistlock Sanctuary Passkey, is 1,000 gems, like all the other, little town hub things, till December 5th. So definitely, if you want that, pick it up. It does have the little like floating area, like you can basically float around in it, so it's pretty cool like that. But yeah, definitely pick that up if you need one of those or are a collector of many of them.
If you don't have one, I would recommend this one, just because it's an interesting effect to mess with.
Mm-hmm. And I think it has a Fractal hub in it, so if you are a Fractal fan, you can kind of go straight from there. But and they all have the same amenities, apart from like certain like flavors. Like that one has the Fractal hub, but they usually have vendors, all the crafting discipline, stations, stuff like that. So overall, Mystic Forge, like I think they all have that as well. So overall, you get basically the same stuff, but they've of recent added like little quirks, like the Mistlock Sanctuary has the Fractal portal. Oh, and Chad is saying, because I do remember way back they did update it where the Mistlock Sanctuary lets you return to your place where you've been by double clicking on it again, which I don't think the other ones have that ability.
The others should have that ability.
It should be just an across the board kind of deal.
Okay. So yeah, I knew that was originally a bug or something. It didn't have it originally, but they did correct that in case you hear old information.
Oh, they don't have it? I was so sure they did.
Okay, no, Chad's saying just Mistlock. I was gonna say I didn't think my line or Divinity.
I don't have one.
Had one.
So.
I have the Lily of Elon, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't ever use it.
I do when I want to go to my bank real quick.
I just go to the guild hall for that.
Yeah, chat's coming up with good suggestions for people that do have this one in particular. You can leave your character sitting at dungeon doors and get to the vendor from there. Like so, yeah, it definitely seems like it's one of the more handy ones. And like we were saying, it has a cool effect where you can it's like anti-gravity type effect where you can kind of just float around. Oh yeah, shall we get to the
elephant in the room?
One sec.
Oh,
how much alcohol is in that?
And can I have some? Damn, jeez. All alcohol. He's going to transform.
Go.
He's going to transform into a player that wants this.
Play the video, Dale.
So, you can get the Resplendent Avian Raptor for 2,000 gems. So, this is a mount skin. It does not unlock the mount. That's important to note. It does have 4 die channels. It has a mount dismount animation, feather trail when in motion. You can probably see it in Dolphy's video. You can kind of see how the sparkles come off of it and feathers kind of fly off it as well. But this does replace the Raptor mount skin. Not permanently. You can switch it on and off like everything else, but 2,000 gems, similar to Jackal, whatchamacallit, Warforged. Reforged, yeah. This is a peachy mount. Yeah, it's definitely colorful.
I don't think Peachy has. I don't know if Peachy has it, but
it's. Go ahead, H. You drank the coffee. I'll leave this to you to start.
The coffee. That actually says it all.
It is. Oh. It certainly is.
It's flamboyant. Is that the right word I want to use?
Yeah.
This and the Reforged Warhound. I will totally agree. This is top dollar skin material for something. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I will never buy this. Ever. If somebody gifted it to me, I would contact ArenaNet and tell them to refund their gems.
Yeah,
I would appreciate it. Like, I would think, oh, you're gifting it to me. You're a wonderful person. Thank you for the gift. I'm giving you your money back. Because I will never use it.
Yeah, I would never use it either,
but I mean, you guys are saying it's top tier, but look, as it runs around, you're losing feathers. You're losing value as you use it. It shouldn't be 2,000 gems. They give you a shoddy mount and give you 2,000 gems for it.
Fine.
I don't think. Yeah, okay, so this definitely is suited towards like specific audiences, obviously.
Yeah.
All these 2K gem mounts are directed to like a specific audience. That's the Reforged the Reforged Warhound Jackal skin is like directed towards people who want that armorish look, that fiery look to them.
Mm-hmm.
This what's it called? Resplendent Avian Raptor. It's directed to more people who want to be more flamboyant, more out there.
Yeah.
Sparkly.
But
Hypnotic Big Bird, Tyrion Zamboni. Wait, what? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not a fan, but more power to you if you enjoy it, if you like it.
Big Bird Tyrion Zamboni. Ugh.
I've seen some good dye jobs on this mount, but it's not for me. Sadly, I guess. But not just not for me.
I love the subtle mounts. I want the polished stone jackal. That is like the one jackal mount that I actually want, and I would pay 600 gems for it. I'm not going to gamble for it. But again,
and I like obnoxious mounts, as long as they're flavored to my characters. Which, like I said, the Reforged one I could see working on some of my characters. This one, personally, not for my characters. For me, 2,000 gems, no.
Would have worked on your Guardian when you were still rocking Volcanus.
Yeah, but yeah, 2,000 gem price point is just I can't justify. Like I said, I would have been fine with a simple ticket system where it was like one of those tickets was for the 400 gems for the lesser ones, maybe 800 for the other ones, and 1,200 I could see myself eventually pulling the trigger on some of those. But I would have probably felt slightly bad about this. 2,000 personally for me, once again, I want to say that is just I just would have hated myself every time I mounted it.
Yeah. Maybe if like I won gems in a contest or something.
No, not then. Not even then.
But that would be if I didn't want to buy a Silverfed Salvageomatic. If I didn't want to buy like more of the collections tab, the material storage tab expanders. I would probably buy bag slots before buying one of the 2K gem mounts.
Mm-hmm.
Bag slots.
Oh. Those are just account or character bound, so yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna be happy with the price point of 2,000 gems, but I do notice that it is a beautiful looking mount. Just it would never fit with one of my characters personally at this time. But I understand there are a lot of people out there. I remember seeing when people started putting these videos out or when they showed it off, going, "I need to have that," which awesome. If you can spring for the 2,000 gems and that's what you want, more power to you.
Deo would buy more bank tabs before he bought a 2K gem mount.
Yes, unfortunately I cannot. soon as they increase that, I buy the amount that I have. So I would love more bank taps. But yeah, so I mean, if you let us know if if you're watching this on YouTube, if you bought the mount, or your opinions on it. I mean, but yeah, I think ours is. I don't know. I think for all of us, 2000's kind of out of the price point for a mount personally, but who knows? Maybe the perfect mount hasn't hit us yet. Chat's saying this mount is for us girls. I mean, even if you're playing a character that is like more, flamboyant, like if I can I could probably make this all hot pink. This might be a mount for my Dabio the romantic.
God.
But once again, not at 2,000 gems for a goof off character that I have.
I have a Mesmer who is extremely flamboyant. And actually, this would probably work for her, but I don't want to spend 2K gems just for one person, right? Because ideally, I would want to buy a mount skin that I would like to use generally for all of my characters, and like I would get one for each. But that's just me. That's my plan eventually. So, and then like if there's any cool specific ones, I'd buy those, I guess. But. It has like I can't justify that price point for it. That's all.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the gem store, and this week in Community Corner, we talked about it last week, but just as a quick reminder, Unity Gaming Organization's 5v5 tournament for the EU will begin tomorrow, December 3rd. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have the Reddit link, and I think it's going to be on, Sorry, so much
Twitch.tv/JetBroUnity.
Yeah, so we'll probably we should have the link in the description as well, so definitely, if you're watching that and you want to see some good EU PvP tournament action, definitely head on over there. Also, the Guild Wars 2 Efficiency Advent Calendar / Christmas giveaway. They had a Reddit post, and you can also check out their lottery page. Basically, around 9,035 gold prize pool, sponsored by the Guild MM, which their tag is Fame. Everyone can enter just with their account name, no API key / Guild Wars 2 efficiency count needed. So, if you know your account name, you can get some pretty cool prizes. I was checking it out earlier. Each day they have a pull. They show the item or items that are going to be offered. You just have to go there. Here, we can link the lottery page.
I already did.
Oh, okay.
You still have till reset to actually enter.
Okay, so yeah, for people watching live right now, you probably have an hour roughly, I would say, if it's reset, left for today's. But if you're watching on YouTube, you missed the second, you can still sign up for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. But a lot of cool prizes. I think this week this one was a weapon skin and some gold.
Let's see. War God Dagger.
Yeah, the War God Dagger. I know yesterday's was like the time keepsake shield. But yeah, so all you need to do is put in your account info there, like your account name and the 4-digit number for Guild Wars 2. And like they said, you don't need the API key or Guild Wars 2 efficiency account like you would for the rest of the website. So
yeah.
It might be. I don't know. Do we know what MM stands for? I wouldn't be surprised if it does mean more money.
Their tag is called Fame, so
yeah.
Whatever guild that is.
Yeah. But oh man, some of the big prizes are supposedly the Fused Greatsword skin, Dusk, Zap, the Legend, Bifrost.
There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah. Those apparently will be drawn on Christmas Day. And I think they say in there you have like 72 hours to claim it, or so many. Or if you're just being rude to them, so they're giving you some nice stuff. Just be nice.
Mac, no, we encourage risk taking in your purchases.
There's literally nothing to lose by entering these giveaways. So
Yeah.
These giveaways, yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing.
What I like about it, nice, is that it also promotes Guild Wars 2 efficiency as a site. So
Which is a really good site to use. If you don't have an account, I highly recommend you create one. It's really cool to see your account value, and it also is really good at giving you a rundown of where to find stuff for crafting. So I was working towards Howler. I made the Legendary Warhorn Howler, and I just kind of blipped a thing on. It's like, if you wanted to buy everything you need right now because it can see what you have on your account, you would need to spend this much gold.
Now, I was gonna say, I don't know if Mac is trying to increase his odds by dissuading people. They could steal your credentials. This is an account that anybody can see if they friended you in game. Like, it's basically your account on the forums, like the name and the number. It's not the password. It's not anything like that. It's just the visual outfacing. You know, if you watch Peachy or many of the other streamers where they're like, come hang out with me, friend me in game with, you know, whatever their account like name and number is. If it does ask you for a password, which I don't think it does, it just says type in your thing, then yes, I would say don't do it, of course, but you're perfectly fine.
Apparently Mac thinks I'm really quiet right now.
You were there, but it just went back up.
Oh.
But also, we talked about it last week and the week before. The Guild Mag Annual 2017 is quickly coming up. You can pre-order it now. You can get articles from MMO Inc., Dragon Seasons, and Korra, and also our own age. Yeah. It includes Path of Fire lore, including a history of the Sun Spears, Guild Wars 2 releases, and basically a timeline. Beautiful community artwork, fan fiction, desert fashion to upgrade your in-game appearance, and loads more. And every time they pick a different charity to fund, so a lot the money goes towards a particular charity, and this time it is the World Wildlife Fund. And if people aren't familiar with the World Wildlife Fund, they help they help future generations for climate change, sustainable food sources, deforestation, and wildlife conservation. So you know, it's definitely a good cause, you know, helping preserve the future. But yeah, so definitely, and you know, I think we've talked about them before, like the previous ones, and this one's, you know, no different. It's beautiful, well constructed, like a solid.
Still didn't get a chance to find my thing. Damn it! But someone needs to remind me to do that, like on Friday.
Okay, we'll try to next week, but yeah, that is it for the spoiler-free stuff. But we're gonna do a quick outro because I know we're gonna play the little game since Jim hasn't done it.
Actually, I should probably head out because my dog does need, and I do need to take care of a few errands, and I didn't realize it was 6 o'clock already.
Yeah, I was gonna say that works out better. So we'll switch around cameras real quick and all that stuff, but we are moving into spoiler territory, so spoilers will be fair game here. But we'll do a quick outro here. So, Jim, where can they find you?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO. You can also find me live on twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Zero to Hero ranked PvP night, where I am now a dirty core ranger sniper, and I like to shoot thieves and necromancers because they deserve it.
Awesome. And Age, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Age Night Road. I should be putting up a vlog sometime tomorrow or Monday. I'm probably gonna just do like a year in everything, I guess, and I think I'll do like a separate Guild Wars 2 year in review for that later. I haven't been streaming too much just because I've been really busy with work and stuff, but I'll try to keep up some Guild Wars 2 streams over the holidays. I'll try to get back into some other games. I'm gonna try to get back into League, so that should be fun. But yeah, feel free to League night.
And you can find me at simply_Deo on Twitch and Twitter. And yeah, streamed a little bit this week. I'm hoping to increase that over the coming weeks here. But if you are just popping at the end, remember we are going to go into spoiler territory. We're not finishing yet. This is just kind of a quick outro, but do follow us at Talking Skritt on Twitter. This will be up in full with the same warning, all that stuff. On YouTube, just search Talking Skritt, use the first one that pops up, and that will go up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. If you're watching this and ready to shut it off because you're avoiding spoilers, if you can make it out to the live show, we do this on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And let us go into the spoiler territory, and I think that's when we're going to say goodbye to Jim.
Bye, friends. Have a good night, chat.
Take
care.
care.
See you all Wednesday.
And okay, spoiler tag is up for the.
Just keep in mind, guys, if you haven't played the story, you don't want to be spoiled, now's a good time to take off. You can watch this on YouTube later if you don't.
Yes.
We put timestamps always, so you can always find it easily.
We'll have something that says like spoiler section or something, and
there you go.
But
so, or if you don't care, feel free to hang out either way. That's fine. I actually have quite a few things to say this time about the story, which is weird.
Interesting. Okay, putting up the spoiler tag. Alright, we are in spoiler territory. Okay, take care, everybody. If you stuck around this long, kudos to you guys. Thank you for sticking around. But
yeah,
we are going into spoiler territory here. So, oh boy, this was a nostalgia trip for anyone. I think the best way to do it is let's go through story one by one, like each section.
Okay.
So,
I agree. Nostalgia trip. Yeah.
Yeah. You basically get these once you accept the new story, you get a little message from Timey and Ritlock through her communication device saying to meet her around noon oasis, and they're in a local farm there with a herd of Dolyaks. And basically, when we talk to them, they kind of recap saying like, oh, we thought you'd be with Canuck, Ritlock, and apparently Canuck is, and I love this, he's basically going like, what, double or nothing against us and Kralkatork after his winnings with us versus Balthazar. But then all of a sudden we see like a big electrical storm start forming, and we're like, what's going on? And apparently it's, I guess, even though Kralkatork left, apparently his like corruption can travel, and that's why we were like, wait, what the, like, this shouldn't be happening. He went away from it, we should be okay. So we investigated, because apparently it's attacking the city that you kind of start in. So
yeah, so we start like going towards it, trying to clear out all the dangers and save people, as many people as possible. I think we're essentially leading people out of the city because of all the corruption. As we go in, we're taking out branded stuff and resin people, and we eventually get into the city, and that's where we actually meet up with Canuck, because we were only with Ritlock, and then because we went to a moon oasis with Ritlock while Timey was doing more investigation stuff, I believe it was. Yeah, so it was Canuck, Ritlock, and your player character was going around trying to clear out all the branded, try to take out all these crystals and stuff to make things vulnerable, and then we actually run into this giant wyvern boss who is a little bit annoying, not that much. But thankfully, we had Aureen come in eventually, and she started helping out as well. Not so much with. Did she help with the fight? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
she's the one above you during the break phases where she's cast. Basically, there's a break phase where the thing tries to, I guess, heal, but if you break the crystals in time, it looks like it goes back to like full health. Like I made the mistake, and I remember Age on his stream making the mistake where it's like, wait, it healed, and all of a sudden it still has like a shield over it, and Irene blasts it with her like magic, thing to
Okay.
shatter it back down.
Yeah, that was really weird the way it did that, but it's fine. Eventually clear it out, and then Irene, we actually meet up with Irene finally, and you see how like awesome she looks. She's in her teenage years, and she shows us this odd vision.
Yeah, it's
So
actually pretty crazy. I didn't go back to get the video for it, but it actually shows and they kind of say it as soon as you do it, but as soon as I saw this big giant weighted thing hitting the ground, I knew it was Farinir or whatever. And they establish it. The one person from in the instance is like, oh, that was because everybody gets this vision. Like even Timmy's like, did everybody see that? Like,
yeah.
so it insinuates, if people don't know, that was kind of that was one of the areas you had to go to in Guild Wars 1 Nightfall. This was basically where the Scarab Plague happened. This is where some relics of Abaddon were placed, and this is where Cormyr touched them and actually activated Nightfall. And people made this comparison last week about, oh, this update's called Daybreak, and Guild Wars 1 was Nightfall. Oh, wouldn't it be cool if that, and it's taking place in that area, so it kind of seems like it's almost bookending these possibly. But
yeah, Mithrin said in chat like Krakator gained the ability of other dragons now.
I was gonna say it was important to note with the crystals when you first go into that town. There is one bit of dialogue where they're saying like, oh, the priests are resurrecting like Risen or something, and I think Ritlock or something, or maybe it was Canuck, mentioned something like, oh, hopefully you brought your like Risen stomping boots, or it was something along the lines of like, but yeah, so it seems like once again, the dragons are still there, are absorbing the dead dragon's powers, which we kind of saw in season 3.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yes, and it is kind of weird at the end. It kind of plays out the vision, and that's what Chad is talking about. It kind of speeds you through that old kingdom that's kind of been destroyed, and it shows a bunch of awakened, which are Joko's minions, and all of a sudden it shows a awakened or undead looking woman with red hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of cuts out there, which like, we don't know what that is. What the heck happened? But so that's basically Eye of the Brandstorm, and they kind of say that, oh, we can help you with a passage to the realm of Istan, I think was the way they worded it.
Yeah. Kind of like that little conversation about before we talked to the I guess the dock master or wharf master, is that what they're usually called? The person who manages the docks. That
The
person.
Wharf master.
Yeah. So we actually talked to him, and it's like, hey, we need safe passage to Istan. It's like, oh, he's like, no. It's like, oh wait, you're the hero. And it's like, I don't like these people, so I like you technically, so I'll help you.
Yeah.
That's just oddly convenient. But then we actually take on a boat over to Domain of Istan, where it leads into the second bit. And it kind of annoyed me when I finally realized it. And I think it was Deo who actually told me that.
Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know, the Domain of Istan is pretty much the first bits of Nightfall, where you're in the section of Istan that has, I think, actually pretty much all the areas. Maybe you're missing one or two, but And there is an area in Nightfall called the Sunspear Great Hall, which was renamed to the Mordant Crescent Great Hall because Joko decided to take that over, along with what's it called? It used to be Kamadan, which was
Palawadan.
the jewel of Istan. Now it's Palawadan, and that kind of annoyed me a little bit.
I face palmed.
Yeah, and that made me.
It was
sad,
painful
dude.
to hear. It was painful to hear when they were like Palawal or Palawal.
It's so weird. And there's one thing I actually noticed about Istan is there's so many Joko statues. There's so many. I think there's at least 10. I wish I was joking. But yeah.
I honestly, chat, like I was thinking, like I always wanted that with, like, if we ever went to Commodon, which now we kind of have, but with Guild War, with Lion's Arch, I would have loved like some kind of like nod, like during Halloween when there's like more spirits, like underwater, you just had a lot of people like just making joke lines, like there'd be spirits standing under there going, "When's the Mad King coming? Check the wiki," or like something like smaller, like.
Yeah, but we land in I think it was we land in Istan. We're trying to find the Astrolarium, so we're just running around on the map until we actually find the Astrolarium. Which
a lot of people were right when with the teaser trailer, those little,
yeah,
like
with
the pillars with the
pillars, yeah, that was a good call from them. And if you knew the layout from Nightfall, you kind of knew where to go already, because once I saw like Sunspear Great Hall, it's like, okay, so Astrolabe should technically be this way, and you actually go in the right direction, or you find it eventually, and it's actually a pretty nice place. I don't remember it being so nice.
So can I say, if you ever want to watch someone's heartbreak, like Age was saying about when he went while he was trying to find the Astrolarium, he was doing the events and did the kind of the meta that's in there that goes the Champion's Dawn, and while I was walking away, I was like, "Hey, Age, check out where you just were at." He looked, and it, instead of saying like Sunspear's Champions Hall, it was like Mordant Crescent Champion, and he's like, "Oh no!" I was like, "Yep."
Yeah, that was not cool. That was not cool at all.
But yeah, everything's been jokified.
Jokified. So we end up in the Astrolarium, and everyone is kind of a Joko. Let's say, how is it? They were not respect.
Everybody at face value is for Joko, but there's like some kind of like hidden resistance where like they were like, "No, we love Joko. Shut up about like the Sun Spears," because that's your goal, to go down there and find the Sun Spears to help basically loyalists, like chat's saying.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of loyalists in Australia, but there are some people who have this resistance going against Joko, and have hidden the Sun Spears. And we know that the Sun Spears are hidden away in the Astrolarium. So we talked to the head of the Astrolarium. She leads us to the section of the library where we can secretly go into this hidden sanctuary for the Sun Spears, and we actually find more information.
I agree with chat about that one portion, because I was slightly worried about that portion when it's like, yeah, prove your worth, do the heart. I'm like, if this is a map where it's do every heart to continue the story, I already hate hearts, like, but luckily I think that was the only one that made that the requirement, so I was like, all right, I really wish it wasn't. I
think all of them.
I don't think they did, but I might be mistaken, because I thought mine might have been done by the time I got to the guy, or like in the other ones, but I didn't think you needed the hearts for all of them.
Okay, I did all of them anyway, but I could be wrong with that, can I talk about an inconsistency about paragons and dervishes, how they're able to ascend god powers if loyalists or the others are required to kind of forgo the gods. Joko doesn't hate them. Oh, Joko hates them.
That is a good point, but I think it's a lot of it, at least the paragons that I saw, the ones that were using spears, a lot of them were the pirate type people, which maybe they're not sticking around long enough for Joko to, you know, they're not citizens. They're kind of establishing themselves there and then sailing out type of thing to, and they're collecting sun spears for them and stuff like that, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
So he's probably like, I'll kill them later type of thing. You know, that's kind of like what Joko would probably be. Like, I'll let them help me and then I'll kill them later. Maybe. Like, that's the only thing I could really.
Yeah. And that actually brings up the interesting part about the Astrolarium and why Joko actually left that place alone, it seems like, for the most part, because he probably has some use for the researchers there in some respect.
And like a lot of times you see like Awaken taking the books from there, but what Joko likes to do is kind of keep the history, but they also rewrite the history. You know, Joko did everything. Like,
yeah, he was the hero of Nightfall, apparently.
And Mithrin brings up a good point about the dervishes. You know, they do not get their powers from the gods directly. The gods blessed humans, and now they can replicate a lesser. I was gonna say it's probably similar to like how the humans have the ability to, you know, the prayer of Cormyr, the prayer of Dwayne, like basically the racials for them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, you know, with POF they are now technically leaving. I think magic of Tyria still exists. It's just what they call it. Like, hey, this allows me to control the element of water. Hey, it might do something with Dwayne, whereas a Norn will probably be like, no. Like, but it's just what they possibly name their spell type thing, or, you know, their magic. But
yeah. Next section was Champion's Dawn. And that was the part where we find out that we want to convince the Corsair to help us, but the best way to do it was that there's this coin that exists from the Sly family.
Yeah, this is one of the first original like good nod backs to Nightfall, which if you played Nightfall, you'll know that there was a character in Nightfall that you could eventually get as a hero, which was Margaret the Sly, which her backstory was she was a Corsair, but she helped you guys get around after her and the Corsairs helped you guys get around Alona by ship when Varish kind of turned on the Sun Spears in general.
Yeah. But her family had this ancient coin that, you know, they highly value and was lost to them. And the thing is with their family is that anyone who returns that coin, the family will owe them a favor. So we, as the player character, want to use this coin to actually convince the Corsair so we can actually get into the Sunspear Great Hall. So we can rescue the Spear Marshal who is captured. So we find out that this coin is being held by this champion who has killed everyone who has come to face him so far.
Yeah, originally he was a Sun Spear, but eventually they got him and they awakened him. And I like how what Hat's talking about, like he likes the additional info you can get from the NPCs is now fully voiced. If you talk to these people that are giving you this stuff, they talk about how, you know, not all people that are awakened are instantly controlled by like Joko and stuff like that, like basically like a mindless zombie. Some of them keep their personality and their, you know, desires and like basically, you know, all that stuff. And they talk. Yeah. The old guy there talks about how he's like, yeah, when I was little, we used to go down there and watch him fight champions, and he would never harm us. Like he would actually put on a show when we were there and stuff like that. You know, this champion but no one has defeated him for this coin. And so we have to go down to this cave, and there's actually warning letters, which because basically this guy that they awakened was so like annoying and rebellious, like would try to find loopholes in like the orders that they gave him, because he still had to follow the orders, but he would always find loopholes. They told him, guard this cave for for the honor of Joko, blah blah blah, and you can't leave until what, like, you're defeated or whatever, or something, or you can't leave until we say so or something. So he had to defend that cave for basically eternity. And they even say like these like warning signs, like, don't go there, and like you go to the next one, why are you still going in? Like each one's like how are you reading this if you're listening to us? Like, don't release this person.
Yeah, on G-Crocs, that death is overrated line was the best part. I just laughed my ass off on that one. That was really funny. The way my character said it was just so good.
Yeah, it's like, I died before. It's so overrated. Ain't no thing. But yeah, so you finally get into this instance, and you enter the cave. You work it's small, like you don't have to fight anything leading up to it or anything like that. You enter the cave, someone starts talking, and who in the world could this Sun Spear, now awakened, Mordrin Crescent kind of person, who in the world could it be that could be so annoying and outruly and finding all these ways to just piss you off, because he's doing what you're saying you're doing, but that's not what I meant. I wanted you to do this. Like, who could be that so insufferable and annoying that would make you just want to strangle him?
Yeah.
Who could it be, Age?
Jorah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
And like chat saying, it was Koss. And that was the funny thing. I think one of the signs says like, this idiot keeps mouthing off to us. I literally look at because when I was streaming, I looked at the camera. I was like, it's gonna be Koss. I was like, this has to be Koss.
I wasn't even thinking about it, to be honest. I was just reading the sign like, this guy sounds amazing. This person sounds amazing, and like going in. And then I see like this, I forgot what it was. It was either a shadowy figure or a mysterious figure. And then I walk up and I actually see the silhouette. And I'm like, and then I see the person itself. I'm like, oh, it's Koss.
Yeah, and then he even, like, in case you don't realize it, he even goes like, who dares enter my domain? Like, who dares face Koss, the legendary Sun Spear, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'm like, I get to fight Koss. And then, I'm surprised how huge Koss was.
I know. I was gonna say, he must be a Norn at heart, man.
Yeah, that was something. Now that I think about it, I guess when we get further into the story, it kind of brings up another point. But yeah, Koss was pretty big for a human. I don't think. Maybe that was just because Arena want to establish that this is a boss you're going to fight, and it'd be easier to fight like bigger things, I guess. But yeah, I just keep in mind that he's a human. I think what was the interesting part is that after you fight Koss, you win, you get the coin, but if you interact with him afterwards, you find out two things that are interesting. One is like how he actually died, and two about his descendants, and that he for those of you who play Guild Wars 1, Koss and Milani actually did get together in the end, which was actually really cool.
Yeah, it was nice to hear that. But I remember I pointed out the Age. I think there is actually a descendant in one of the last POF zones that it might have been a spirit or it might have actually been a person. I can't remember now, but so there was a little hint to that if you explored. Like, it wasn't thrown in your face, but you would have known ahead of time if you found this one NPC in the these bigger zones, which a lot of times you only knew if you were going to it. But yeah, it's nice that they kind of set it out in the open, and But yeah, I agree with kind of what Tavic's saying. Like the cost fight was really easy. Like I saw beforehand, it was like, don't let the champion heal. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be tough. Like, oh boy, like he's gonna like have something crazy go on. And I was like, boop boop. Oh, okay. I'll finish beating you now. Like,
yeah, I thought that we had to stop the break bar in order to make him heal, and that was it. But I thought it was I was legit looking out for that heal the entire time, but I was burning him so fast it didn't matter. So it was really weird. When Mateus brought up inconsistency, the cost said about him releasing Joko and his parent wasn't like exactly it. Okay, kinda.
I think in the realm he meant him and his group, like,
yeah,
because you have no relation to your Guild Wars 1 hero, even though, you know, they allowed you to save name things and stuff like that, but you don't have any relation to your Guild Wars 1 hero. You're just hearing, you see this ancient warrior, he's going to refer to him and his team. It wouldn't be like, I mean, sometimes they do that in games where it's like, you know, I was a subordinate to so-and-so and he led the chart, you know. You sometimes get that, but I think, especially cost mentality, he was a bit Joko, where he was like, I'll take credit for, like, you know, cost on cost. I mean,
yeah. So think about it in a way that, you know, Cause and the group he was with released Joko. That's technically what happened. So, and for those who don't know, it's basically Cause wanted to take responsibility for releasing Joko, so he took him and I think it was a group of Sun Spears to actually, you know, take down Joko, but they failed. That was pretty much the summary behind that. Short, but, you know.
I wonder if that was going to be the Guild Wars Beyond. I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, what was going to be the supposed bridging gap story for?
That makes sense. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that would make sense. Anyway, we do get this coin go out, so we're going to have a parlay with the Corsair. So we go over and what's her name? Let me look at that real quick.
I know it's something the Sly, but I just don't remember who the. But
Saida the Sly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have a parlay with her. And we're trying to come up with a deal in order to, you know, get into the Great Hall safely. So we're trying to establish this deal for the coin, you know, and we come up with, you know, we have to gather a whole bunch of ingredients to make a grog, because if the idea behind the grog for the pirates is that it's so powerful it can knock out people, and that there was an issue one time that when one person had the grog, they just knocked out all the pirate groups, and then they just got looted. So what they decided is that they would separate the ingredients into different groups, and that, you know, they would all know when one person actually made the grog themselves. So the idea behind this grog was to incapacitate the Morden Crescent, and then, you know, get the Spear Marshal, get out. And what we established was a plan was that they would try to hand us in. Saida would actually hand us into the Morden Crescent. She would get gold, she would get her coin, and we would get the Spear Marshal out. And the reason, actually, I should have said this earlier, is that the Spear Marshal was in custody of Saida the Sly, but she handed him over to Morden Crescent. So that's why we're actually going through all this, to actually get him back. Yeah, grog is so powerful, even things undead can be affected by it. That's pretty good. Oh, for the cost thing, the fight was kind of a letdown for who it was, I guess.
I did feel anticlimactic as a Guild Wars 1 player. I'm like, man, I'm fighting costs. Like, oh, this is crazy. It's already over.
Yeah, I guess I can understand it from that perspective.
Though, to be fair, as he was my hero, I mean, he wasn't the brightest, so I'm now not surprised.
But yeah, there you go. I just went over all the Corsair stuff. If you want to add things to that,
Oh, I just liked. Is that leading? Oh, that's just the grog thing. I was like, oh, another fetch quest, but I think a lot of it you kind of collected in that one area, so it wasn't hugely bad, and you can kind of tell waypoint to the other ones real quick. But
yeah,
I was a little worried. I was like, oh, a fetch quest, like, oh no.
it wasn't horrible.
No, it wasn't. But
yeah, so so that leads into the Hero Vistan, where we're actually being brought into the prison. And then, we get put into a cell, we act drunk, and then, we're waiting till people get incapacitated by the grog. We suddenly sober up.
Well, funny thing is, Timey gets you in trouble because you're actually put in shackles, which if you were a Norn, I don't know if anybody else felt like it. I felt like Chewbacca in A New Hope. Like, I was just like, and kudos to the sound effect because you get the little ching, ching, like the chains clanging. But
yeah, you can skip the grog stuff by spending volatile magic. I forget about that.
Oh, I did not know that. That's actually kind of nice.
Yeah. I did not because I didn't want to spend my currency.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
That's actually kind of nice for future playthroughs if you're just like, I just want to get through it. But yeah, I always like it goes to a cutscene because they're like, oh, let's have a toast, because they're trying to get the Awakened to drink it.
Game. That's legitimately how it starts too. That's funny.
Yeah, that's pretty much how all of them start. But all of a sudden they're about to drink, and all of a sudden you hear Timey over your communicator going. Like, I think she's like, they're coming through the door, like, or me and Ritlock are at the thing, and they're coming through the door or something, and it's like, wait, what? And all of a sudden they're like, who was that? Like, and just I think it was a cutscene. They just like punch you in the face.
Oh yeah.
And then that's when you kind of wake up and.
Well, yeah. Now Drake and Pond actually brings up an interesting point. Is there each class have a different way of getting out of the prison cell?
Yeah, because my guardian summoned the Hammer of Justice and just smashed it, like smashed the door lock on it.
Oh, okay. Because I was on my thief and I picked the door and I had to use my special action key when it popped up, and I kept pressing it in order to successfully open it.
Oh, was there like tumblers or something to it? Like, did you hit it multiple times or?
Yeah,
see,
mine was multiple times.
Mine was, I think you summon it with like your special action key, and then I think you use it again just to smash it with the Hammer of Justice thing.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, and chat's saying so Mesmer, you can focus then blink through the bars. That's pretty cool. Ellie can summon a fire axe to chop the lock, so it's similar to the Guardian. Necro summons a fleshworm and teleport it out. Cool. Warrior gets a rage skill with Guild Wars 1 of Frenzy Image. Awesome.
That's really nice. That's a nice touch. I like that.
Maybe they heard like how people liked and didn't. Some of them didn't notice. Like, I didn't realize it was a special thing, but when you get Ritlock's sword in POF at the end, how it had that one profession skill. So that I'm glad they carried that over, and it's a nice touch.
Yeah, that's always a nice little touch. Now, there's one thing that kind of irritated me, it seems like to happen in like any type of prison type situation where all your gear is stored like right opposite of where you're being imprisoned. Why does that make sense? I don't understand. But yeah,
no one wants to, it's just a game mechanic. No one wants to be out without their gear, and like I became this powerful when I got sucker punched, and now I don't.
But why aren't they stored in like a different area? Why? It bothers me.
Because I don't want to run around without my weapons. I earned those weapons. Don't take them away from me. Yeah. It doesn't make sense, but I'm kind of glad that I got my weapons back quick. I was like, okay, let me just.
Anyway,
it's a horrible way, but yeah, it's.
Yeah. So we eventually, we try to sneak out of the cell area. Then we go into like the actual hall part where Amala's there, and she's like not happy because she wasn't incapacitated by the grog. She has a high tolerance to alcohol, and she realized she was betrayed, so she starts cleaving us out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the other thing I wanted to bring up, because Amala's actually a human as well, and she is the same size as Kaz, pretty much. So, again, I think that's for boss mechanics.
Yeah, and well, this is the thing I wanted to bring up about the Fractal. I just didn't want it to be like a spoiler thing. Was she's the person that you deal with in the Fractal? Like you in the Fractal, you're an awakened, and you basically go in there and take her out, so she then gets reawakened into this person, and she's also in the open world area as well. But this is my question, and I'd love to hear chat's opinion on it. Is, do you like the Fractal story being like this prequel type, like basically a setup for the story?
I personally, it's interesting because it's not necessarily neat. The Fractal, you don't really have to play it to understand. Well, you could play it to understand the backstory behind Amala herself, but you don't really need it to enjoy the content, as it were.
See, yeah. I won't lie, I'm actually torn. I didn't mind it as a 5-man content, but it's the same logic that I was irritated with about the raid with Lazarus. So I am kind of annoyed, but it wasn't a huge instance, and I don't think it was a huge character. So, I don't know, like, I'm kind of iffy on it, where it's like, since it wasn't a huge giant character, like, it wasn't literally, releasing Joko or whatever, or, something hugely plot point related.
I guess so. It's like with raids, the story touch is nice and it underlines the main story, but isn't essential. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Whereas with Lazarus, I think that was legitimately just a strong prelude to Living Story.
Yeah, I felt the Lazarus thing was essential, and like I said in the past, the other raid wings where it involved Saul. While I would love to see it, I just don't think it was an essential thing to the Guild Wars 2 story. But it is a big question Guild Wars 1 players had, but it's just, I was like, well, this was like, I wouldn't call this essential to the season 4 episode 1 story, that like, oh, how did she become this? Because it just showed another person being awake, and we just knew she had a love interest. I don't think it really added to it yet, but
yeah, it was mostly like the downfall of the Sun Spears, as it were, like the beginning of the descent.
Yeah. So. And actually, I kind of like it from the sense of, if you do the story portion first, which we unfortunately didn't, it's a kind of lesser mechanics than the Fractal, and even the open world one. So it kind of teaches you in a safe environment, like if you do the story first, and then you can kind of take that knowledge to the other areas. So I actually kind of like it from that aspect.
Yeah. I think it was okay to do in this situation. But after we defeat Amala, our comms are going off like crazy because we didn't have them with our gear.
Oh my god, through that whole fight with her, and you hear Timey like crying, like, "Where are you, Commander?" Like, I'm usually indifferent with Timey. I'm not as like, I don't hate her as much as like Inks or someone else, but I was like, "Hang on, Timey, I'm gonna get you. Just die, you undead dervish!" Like,
And at the end of that, because you figure Joko had her, and it's like, I just want to leave. I just want to leave this instance and go like save time, because things will go bad. And you're actually stuck there because like you have to go through dialogue. You have to give Saida the coin, and then you have to go outside, and you're like trying to frankly get outside, but then there's a whole bunch of awakening you have to cleave out, and then Ritlock and cannot come out to help you with the Spear Marshal, and organize a small little plan to actually get out there. And then I'm like, okay, I want to go save Timmy, and this is where I have the problem with the last bit of the story, which is where we go to how do I pronounce this? Farron. I'm gonna look this real quick.
I think it's like Farron. No, I can't even say it, but yeah, kudos to Timmy's voice actor, like Chad is saying. But to be fair, I was always a Belinda. I always like Belinda's voice actor more.
Yeah.
No one picked up on it.
Faranor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Faranor. If I pronounce that wrong, someone correct me. But we actually go into Faranor because that's where she is being held at. And the most interesting part of Faranor, as I was going through it, is like it is pretty much the exact same layout as back in Nightfall.
Yeah, it's basically the Guild Wars 1 instanced version of that story, like that you're going through there.
The exact layout. But it was really cool going through it. But like through the entire first bit of that story, it's like, okay, I need to cleave past all these boga, and I need these awaken so I can open these doors so I can actually go save Timmy. And then you run into all these puzzles. So for those of you who don't know, there were like little trials that you had to go through in Guild Wars 1, and they're pretty similar in Guild Wars 2. So the first part was with the bells, and then the second part was with the fire, and then the third part is where we got walled off, and we had to fend off a bunch of awakened while Canuck blew up a wall.
And can I say, when you're walking through there, and then you find Timmy's hair bow, and I'm like, you son of a like, no.
That actually reassessed my frequency. Is like, I need to go save Timmy now. And oddly enough, as Canuck blows up the wall, he also blows the roof above our heads, and that was going to crush us to death. But thankfully,
I know that's one thing that a lot of people have picked up on. QED is, we kind of got Dervish and Paragon professions, but we didn't get one as like a elite spec or a playable profession. Like, I mean, yeah. And that's the problem of like Guardian is kind of supposed to be the monk Paragon, like kind of combining type over history. It's and I mean we kind of see that a little bit. I think Age was just about to hit upon it with the defending Canuck as he was blowing up the wall while we're fighting fighting Awakened. I wanted to say Ascended, but yeah. Which all of a sudden we fight a big champion, and as we weaken, and all of a sudden Canuck blows up the wall, but it's gonna collapse the ceiling, and then out of nowhere we're protected by a bubble, which BS, because nothing is reflectable from a Guardian bubble. And yes, it's a Guardian bubble because who is underneath of it protecting us? None other than Bram. And he comes in with a kind of like a glowing wings, which everybody was, I saw a lot of people post like, is Bram a Paragon? Like, it's like, well, no, he's still a Dragon Hunter, but the F2 skill for the Dragon Hunter, the resolve thing or something, they can jump to someone with these glowing wing things and heal there. So that's basically what he did. But
yeah. So yeah, Bram and Rox. I said Brax. So Bram and Rox show up all of a sudden, and we're like, "What the hell is happening?" And then Bram's still kind of pissed off at us because we told him Timmy's in trouble, and he wants to blame us, but there's no time for that.
Well, he actually gives us some interesting information. He says like Chad's saying, he is irritated with us that we put Jormag to sleep. He basically confirms it for us. So And like they said they were back at Holbrook, and all of a sudden these portals opened up, and Awakened kind of started spilling out of them. Which, why wasn't that a public event? I would have loved like the towns to
That
fill
would've been
with
sick.
like that would have been awesome. But I guess the timeline wouldn't work out like how we got there. But oh man, I would have loved. Like maybe that'll be a public event or something for next time, because who knows, these portals might be somewhere else, or but
Yeah, that was so. We actually venture forth a little bit, and we see all these Asura gates, and they're leading into like different areas in Tyria, and then we get just absolutely flooded with Awakened, and we have to like kill all these things off as we shut down Asura gates. And like, this is a bit excessive, don't you think, reading it? Just a little bit excessive.
Mithrin brings up a good point. It could have been the Halloween Awakened. All right. I just want I want another like Attack on Lines Arch type thing where it's like, not even the towns are safe. Ah.
Yeah, that would have been fun. All right. But, we were eventually, venturing forth, and we finally reached the final room where we find there's how many gates? There's 6 Asura gates. And I
think so.
Yeah, and they're all leading to like the major cities.
Yeah, 6.
So yeah, that makes sense. Every race city in Lion's Arch. So, well, maybe Lion. I don't know.
Well, there were 3 on each side for the mechanic thing, and then there was one giant one at the back that wasn't operational, which
okay.
So there were 7 total, but 6 that were being utilized.
Right.
I think what Age is saying, like kind of the cities.
Okay. And the middle of this room is Timey, who's stuck inside Scruffy 2.0. And her oxygen levels are being depleted.
Yeah.
So we're frantically trying to break her out of it while fighting Scruffy, who is more like Scruffy 15.0.
Well, that's the great thing is Bram is with us going, because you hear oxygen levels are depleting because it was a plan by Joko. I think he said, like, there's a message that he sends from one of his Awakened saying, like, oh, this is what we, deal with this or something like that. And, Scruffy's like saying, like, oxygen levels, depleting. And Bram's like, we got to break her out. So I think you might swing at it, or he does. And all of a sudden it goes, defense modes, or like, weapons, hostility, activating. And it's like, and she's like, I upgraded a little bit. And bullshit, you upgraded a little bit.
That was excessive. But yeah. Thankfully we do break her out. We're all back together. It's one big happy family, dysfunctional family. But it is interesting that, a few little tidbits that the Asuran that were in that area, in the city, were inquests. And it seems like either they complied to Joko's demands, or they died, got reborn, and then complied to Joko's demands, which seems like he wanted to open different Asura gates or have different experiments going, or maybe both. And yeah, that. I'm surprised Scruffy didn't join us to fight Balthazar.
And I did forget about that. The Joko Awakened inquest. That I forgot that, like, when we first get to her golem, there's like 6 or something that say the message. I knew it was an Awakened that delivered the message. I forgot it was the inquest, like little inquest that you had to fight before. But and then they explode, and then everything goes to crap. But
yeah. So before we go into like the great details, like, there are 2 things that bother me with this last instance. The first thing was that the pacing for actually rescuing Timey got absolutely ruined for me. because as you transition to the second to last bit into the last bit, you don't want to be doing all these puzzles. You don't want to be cleaving out all these awaken. You want to be actually running past all of this in order to save timing. If there was a timer telling me to frantically get to the end in order to like get to timing, like that would have been a lot better for me. I don't disagree that the mechanics were like terrible. They're actually really good, but I think there was a time and place for it, and I feel like the place wasn't there. Maybe one or two different mechanics and it would have been fine, but with all the sorts of different things going on and all the mobs that we had to kill off in order to get the timing, that kind of ruined the pacing for me a lot. So it's just like, oh, I'm just going to get to the end. But when I'm actually, you know, getting to timing, it's like, crap, her oxygen is running out. But I didn't feel that pacing just got utterly ruined for me.
Yeah,
Beginning to the end.
It was a nice touch from a Guild Wars. Like, oh, I remember all these trials and stuff, but you just came from an instance where you just heard a screaming child screaming for you to save her, and you rush in and are like, oh, well, hold on, let me figure this out. Like, oh, I need a rock or a crystal. Like, let me put it here. Like, oh, I need 2 for this plate. Oh, okay. And like, everybody stand on the plates. Make sure you stand still. Like, I'll just go do it. Like, it's like sense of urgency here.
Yeah, and when I got to the bell bit, I just wanted to jump past everything and be like, okay, guys, follow. Why aren't you following me? It's like,
yeah, it's because you had to do one.
Literally disable all
the nice thing is they added, like, because I missed it on the first one, but I noticed on, like, I think the other 2, where if you walk up to it, you can interact with it and it'll knock you off the mount, or it gives you the special action key so you can stay on the mount, which doesn't really save time, but it at least keeps the flow a little bit better, where you're not like, get off the mount, okay, do the chain thing, get on the mount, all right, next one. Like, but
yeah, you can actually run past the awaken. I did that, but still, like, the flow of it was still ruined because of all the other things I had to do. You set it up so well. You really set it up so well, that sense of urgency, and it just got utterly ruined at the end for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second thing that kind of bothered me was Scruffy 2.0, which was not Scruffy 2.0, but Scruffy 15.0. And that reminded me that Ritlock had Suhothin, the most OP sword I've ever used in my entire life in Guild Wars 2. And why wasn't he cleaving all the Awakened earlier?
He was making sure the wires on that console didn't come unraveled when you raveled them to open the door, right? That's what everybody else in Destiny's Edge was, or not Destiny's Edge, but Dragon's Watch was doing besides Bram. I mean, everybody hates Bram, but at least he was in there with us. Everybody else is effing around with the door.
Yeah, and this is what bothers me too, because it seems like all the NPCs that join us in our adventures are super OP in some respects. And they could be helping us through all these random ass mobs of things, and they don't. And that kind of bugs me as well, because I need a reason for that.
I know, it kind of goes back to the Eye of the Brandstorm, where Ritlock's with you, and it's like, I think I even made the comment, I'm like, Ritlock, I've seen what your sword can do now. And he's like, poke, poke, poke. I can fight one guy, barely. Poke, poke, poke. Like, it's like, what?
Yeah. I need some justification for that. Like, I really do, because it doesn't make any sense right now of why Sohothin is such a powerful sword, and Ritlock doesn't want to use his abilities. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So I need justification for that. As someone was saying, if it's like it gets powerful as you get near Balthazar, that would have made a lot more sense, right?
He'll tell us in another 2 expansions why he can't. But Dragon Pound, I will. You are right. Bram didn't do much of anything, but like you said, he did at least res you. Everybody else was piss farting around the door. Like,
yeah. Well, they were fending off Awakened, so I guess that's fine. But
there were no Awakened around that door. There was only the branded that were hovering around that crystal that didn't budge.
Okay. I don't know. I legit thought they were fending off Awakened.
Oh, maybe.
But,
I like, it's all like a mishmash because I think it was the Inquest Risen by that point by the portals. It all like kind of melded together and swapped around because it was like, okay, do this now, do this now. Oh yeah, we're still going after Timey. Oh wait, but do this first. It's like, nah.
Yeah, and this kind of this last point, this is one of the third major problem I had with the story, and it kind of encompasses everything. Is that Krakator flown to Tyria and he's like perched off somewhere, right?
Yeah, and I think it was Zakroy said it earlier. Was in the first instance they mentioned how not Cormier. Oh wow, Casimir and Marjorie are tailing Kralkatork, and they said he's basically curled up on a top of a mountain or something like that.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me. This dragon just got like a huge amount of magic from a god, and he just decides to sleep, or
well, he just had a big meal. He's like, whoa. This was his Thanksgiving. He's like, I'm gonna crash for a little bit. Maybe we filled him up. Maybe he's just gonna go to sleep. That's how we're gonna write him out.
Maybe.
Like, oh, look, we're fine now. Continue.
But the thing is, the problem I had is that I feel like Krakatork should be taking advantage of his newfound powers and should be just like doing whatever the hell he wants. And no, instead he's just conveniently perched on some rock, and Marjorie and Casimir are keeping tabs on him while we deal with Joko. And that's the problem I have, is that it's always convenient that some other huge threat is just taking a break while we deal with another thing. And I didn't like that. I really wanted to fight a war on two fronts where we had Joko to deal with, and we're kind of like stuck in Alona because of that. And we have Krakatork rampaging in Tyria. That's what I kind of wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that would have made for a good story. But I just don't like how it's just convenient that Krakatork's just
maybe
perched
we
off
get
there.
that in future episodes, hopefully. I don't, you know.
Maybe.
I don't know, but
maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe, yeah, limited scope of content releases is a factor in that as well. And I understand that, but it doesn't seem like good story to me that happens. But
I mean, you're right. Well, our goal is not to kill Krakatork, but Joko might. I mean,
yeah, we could kill him. Yeah. I understand when we don't kill Krakatork, but it's still like it should be something we should be dealing with at the same time. That's kind of my point. It shouldn't be just convenient that this huge mega boss is conveniently taking a break while we deal with something else.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's like we have the devil's luck pretty much. Pull a Game of Thrones, Joker kills and Resident. That would be pretty epic. Not gonna lie.
But yeah,
But yeah, those are the three major issues I had with the story. Otherwise, I think it was pretty.
That's a good point. He did take a little bit of, you know, attacks from during the Balthazar fight, so maybe he's kind of recouping. But so I'll be okay with maybe episode 1 not doing it, but I would like to see it at some point in this season, a battle on 2 fronts, you know.
You would think that because Aurene kind of absorbed a little bit of god magic. Well, okay, that kind of makes sense when you say it that way, because, you know, Aurene did go away after a little bit after absorbing the magic and then came back. So maybe Krakator is going through the same thing. In that case, I guess I can understand it, but I wish that was a little bit more obvious, I guess.
And I mean, how do you feel about the boss fight with Scruffy? Like,
I heard a lot of different opinions about this fight. You know, it wasn't too bad. It was
I noticed yours. If you're not solid DPS like Aegis with this thief that could like melt the health bar, it's a pretty long fight.
Yeah.
And dear
That's
God, take a ranged weapon.
yeah,
If you just have
you
melee
either need
weapons, you're SOL. Like you're
you,
gonna be there
you
for 30 minutes.
you need a ranged weapon, or you need like something that can blink or move a distance, because there are some huge AoEs that you need to move around. And there's the fiery shockwave. There's that huge uh, semicircle AoE that can happen. A lot of different mechanics that, and I think I went down once, at least once.
I think I went
Um,
down because I didn't read the like I didn't read the basically the end part where it's like avoid everything. I was like, there's only 5% left. He's going all out, and I started just pummeling him, and that's when I went down because I was standing in like 3,000 AOE.
yeah, I just
But then
no, yeah,
Bram he comes and heals you, which um I was watching some other streamers, and like I said, they only brought in melee weapons. I was like, I tried to tell them, but they were not looking at chat to in case someone was going to say like a spoiler, or they wanted to try to figure it themselves out. But I was like, if you drop down below, if you have a ranged weapon, it takes you out of combat, but it doesn't reset the health bar. You can switch it,
yeah,
but yeah, it's just it
yeah,
was agonizing for that person, like to a point that it's like they were liking the fight at the beginning, but then it just carried on so long because they do a lot of AoE and point blank stuff where if you're just solid melee, you can't do much to them without getting knocked around or
yeah. You have to be like super careful about it if you're melee. The vortex thing was that was a weird skill to get used to for me, because I got caught in that quite a bit. But eventually, I tried figuring out how that worked. Um, but yeah, it was a fun fight for me, at least. I don't know about anyone else, but
like I said, by the end I felt fine with it. I did feel it was a little bit long, but then I saw other people, like I said, if you don't have like even a personal build where you take like a ranged and a melee, like if you're just melee, and honestly, it would have probably been annoying getting there if you were just ranged, because a lot of those branded elementals put up, reflecting shields. It's like,
yeah, that's annoying.
they're not as bad as, the boss fights, but it would have been kind of annoying getting there. But, you
Yeah.
know,
So hypnotic brings up an interesting question. Assuming we take care of Joko in season 4 and we can't kill Krauk, gods we go on, where exactly do we go from here as far as the next pack goes? Cantha is my answer.
yeah, I mean, it's a possibility.
Unless they have another continent that we go on. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be stuff like we're going to probably the next expansion is going to be figure out a way to put Kralkatork to sleep, or in some fashion. And there
I
might
kind
be
of
some
want
kind of issue in the way.
I kind of want a civil war to happen to be the X-Pac, to be quite honest. I'm not sure how that will work exactly, but I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, I don't want to rush it either.
Yeah, I have no
Because
idea their pace, what kind of pacing they want to do, but
all right, so technically we have Parmortis and Jormega are asleep, Krakatork's active, Bubbles is somewhere. He's active, but
somewhere in
not
the
really around.
water, and I think it's supposed to be somewhere in between that and Cantha, which is why they don't want to sail it.
Yeah,
Well, actually, it was originally Zaitan, but I think now their minions are also there, like in the water. But basically, Cantha was in Guild Wars 1. Their campaigns that they had, which were kind of like the standalone things, they kind of took like, Prophecies was kind of like a European look. And yeah, like what chat's saying, Cantha was kind of like their Asian themed one, and Nightfall, which was Istan, or Alona, was basically like their African kind of, safari-esque type area.
yeah. I don't think we're going to Cantha because we're then diving too deep into human stories, not branching out from other races like Char and Norn. Oh, so yeah, we could technically go to Northern Shiver Peaks.
Yeah,
In
that could
case.
kind of be Char and Norn with the.
And then we
Depending
could
on
go
how
back
far
to actually
stretching.
Jormag. And that might be an issue that we deal with. Is there a big baddie like Joko there? In Cantha? Not
Well, what I mean, that
necessarily.
might be the Civil War the Age is looking for, because maybe we go in there to help reestablish the Tengu, because basically the thing that happened after Guild Wars 1 Cantha was the something of purity group, basically a group of purity or something. They, to help combat this plague that affected them, they were basically kicking out or eradicating anybody that wasn't human, and that included the Tengu, and a lot of them escaped beforehand, and that's why we have the Domain of the Winds, which we can't get into, stuff like that, but or the Dominion of Winds, sorry.
Yeah, was it the Ministry of Purity, by the way?
Ministry, yes.
Yeah. So,
but that could be your Civil War thing that you're kind of looking at.
Yeah,
that would be interesting for, but once again, that kind of hits upon like another human-centric story, because that could be an interesting thing for a human character. Is, I would imagine we'd ally ourselves with the Tengu that are interior, be like, hey, help us,
But yeah, I'm trying to think about it. The humans are the only really ones that have any real issues going on. If I look at Norn, the only thing that they have is like the Jormag thing, like the Sons of Svanir. With Asura, it's Inquest. With Sylvari, it's Nightmare Court. With I'm missing one. With Char, it's the Flame Legion. So I guess, would it be enough to be? I guess the only thing that would be X-Pack worthy, I guess, and would be like the Sunswanir with Jormag and all that stuff.
But the problem is they said that they put Jormag to sleep, unless it's like, oh, we accidentally killed Kragatork, all that magic woke up Primordius and Jormag again, and it's like,
well, technically, if we kill Kragatork, we're all dead. So,
well, yeah, technicality. But honestly, like vanilla was every race. I mean, it's centered around human, ore. Like, it was very much, I would say, human. It just
I think humans cause the most problems, I think.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is everything that was set up was Guild Wars 1 was human based pretty much, so it's kind of hard to go somewhere and it not be somehow about a human.
Yeah. The Ghost in Ascalon, yeah. That's like getting like all the human things. There's like there's actually ties to Char. There's a Corsair and pirates, like Denrosu mentioned, and centaurs, and if you go to Cantha, there's always that that new is he a prime minister or a anyway, the leader like of Kinings, there's like a whole bunch of like human lore all around, and there's a whole bunch of issues that come with those lores, so it's just easier to make up stories about that. Whereas for the other races of Tyria, there are like one or two things that I can, off the top of my head, I can think of. Humans are the ones that can mess things up, pretty much. But that aside, I do think that like the Norn and Sons of Swanir would, and Jormag, I think that would be one of the major races that would be worthy of an X-Pack. I think the Char would be a good one too, if like someone from the Flame Legion decided to rise up and then like try to take us, claim the land of Ascalon. That'd be kind of interesting. Yeah, you can relate the races to a different dragon, I guess, too. The Asura I would link to... Yeah, because the Asura is kind of when we were dealing with Paramortis, so I guess Asura and Dwarves would be kind of like that, their own thing there. Sylvari, we kind of dealt. We actually, you know what? We could make an expansion based on other races because Sylvari was kind of the Mordramoth and Heart of Thorns thing. So I'm wrong. I take that back. So we could technically make expansions based off one-offs on different races. It's just that what kind of story they're going to tell and how it relates to what's going on with what we're doing in Dragon's Watch. So in that respect, I still say that the Norn storyline matches up in that respect.
But I mean, we're Primordius was the reason for Asuran went to the surface. Yeah, it's so but it's interesting that now we're, certain dragons are asleep and some aren't, or some might wake up. I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know. I think the end of this living story kind of will tell you the direction of what threats are going to appear, or like how we deal with Krakatorrik. I think the story around that will tell you the direction of where the story is going to go for sure. It's just that it's really hard to see right now, besides speculation.
But I know chat was talking about it earlier. At the end of Eye of the Brandstorm, with that vision, how it tells you to go to Farinir and all that stuff, and they showed like the awakened and attacks, and then they show a like undead looking woman type thing. We kind of talked about it quickly, but interestingly enough, it's telling you to go to that place. You do go to that place if you are quick enough. She is actually in there, but she disappears if you get too close, or basically after a certain point. But some quick people actually took some screenshots of it. But first, you could see here the oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Sorry, that one right there. That's the scene from it, the cinematic itself. But then the other two images are actually people that got close enough to take a screenshot of her in game. So I think it's the mysterious figure. The real question is, who or what is she? I've seen a lot of people, hopping around of it could be this, it could be that.
Looks kind of Norn. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, from the third picture here, it looks very different. Huh. I wouldn't mind like a new character that just has been around for a while, or just been in between that 250-year cycle that has a story to tell. That'd be very interesting for both like Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 players.
Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of people, when they first saw the the cinematic thing, a lot of people were like, oh, it could be like an awakened like Scarlet or something like that, which you could kind of get that sense, I guess, from the cinematic, because it's not very detailed, and it could just be her without her pigtail type things, because while that is her hairstyle, we did see like those pigtail hairdo things in her home when we did season 2 as like separate things. So whether they're detachable, like who knows? But yeah, it definitely is interesting, and she has shackles on, which is even more interesting. But
oh man, yeah, that's really cool. I'm not sure.
I mean,
if she was related to Guild Wars 1, I would like legit have to go back through a bunch of NPCs.
I mean,
but
I have a theory.
Oh, there was a theory, guys. I'm just gonna let him go.
Actually, like, I don't know about the vision, but it looked like she was wielding the Scepter of Ore. I don't see her wielding anything in this, even though it's called the Scepter of Ore, it was a staff. Which I would imagine that would still carry over. But
notice how she's... I noticed that she's always pointing.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. Though that might be her trying to do the actual thing out of the vision, because this is supposed to be like a predicting type thing. But I've seen people say something about the red lady from Guild Wars 1. Joko's ex. Trying to think who the red lady was from Guild Wars 1.
I don't recall.
I know people were mentioning the red lady from this current events thing that was happening, but that seems like that is for the raid itself, which red lady Guild Wars 1. I don't remember the red lady.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, all I see are reference. Oh, no, the red frog. I don't see any references of a red lady from Guild Wars 1, but I mean, there are loads of people that wore red in Guild Wars 1, but who, if it is someone from Guild Wars 1, who could it be?
I legit have no idea.
I have a thought. She could be just one of Joker's lieutenants. She could just be one of Joker's lieutenants, but yeah, it is one of those weird things of why she's hiding her identity, but okay, no, chat's saying the red lady was Desmina. Yeah, that was more related. Okay, that wasn't anything Guild Wars 1. I mean, it takes place before Guild Wars 1 time, but yeah, it was no reference to Guild Wars 1 since. But what if? Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to read Desmina real quick. So from Guild Wars 1, she was scorned and exiled by her people and abandoned by gods due to her admiration for power. In her plea for power and revenge, Grenth offered her power of the dead, making her his first follower.
Wait, Desmina was actually in Guild Wars 1?
It's in a Scriptures of Grenth.
Oh, okay. So it's like a hit telling the tale. Okay.
Not sure she was actually in the game.
No, I don't think she was in the game. Yeah. Unless it was something like in the underworld, like making like reference to it. But I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, what if this is General Kayet from Nightfall? She died in the bog, which is fairly close, but she visited this exact area for the Apocrypher or whatever I think it was.
Okay.
And she had dabblings with, yours truly, Abaddon. But, we eventually kill her as sun spears in the bog, which, like I said, isn't too far away from this area, which maybe other people took her body to this area. We don't know. People can take the bodies wherever, but yeah, chat saying Desmina is only mentioned in writings. Okay. But, while I'd like to see that, there's not enough to go on by who she is, but can I say how interesting it is, these events that are happening in Tyria? And can I use the old adage of, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're doomed to repeat it? So we have an undead lich using portals to transport their armies to different places in Tyria. Sounds a lot like Guild Wars 1 Prophecies.
Okay.
As long as we don't have a story like Cantho where there's a, crazy person that, hears voices in their head and assassinates someone to create a destructive event following it that shapes the very Tyria. Oh, wait. There was that someone called Scarlet. Huh. What's next? So we had, basically prophecies. Factions. What would be next, H?
Nightfall.
And where are we? In literally the area where Abaddon stuff was.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. I wonder.
I wonder
And
too.
I mean, we really haven't learned our lesson from everything. We keep killing the dragons. We've been told not to, and now the gods are abandoning things. It's like, oh boy, like, ooh. And I mean, now the raid comes out, and I mean, one of Abaddon's allies, now that we're in spoiler territory, was there. What are the Inquisites doing there? Well, they said, they saw an empty area and they just were creating a base there, and then it got taken over.
Yep.
They probably would have been eliminated anyway, but Joko got to them first and used them as basically foot soldiers. But yeah, I'm curious what they were doing. They were probably doing more tests with the time or the ley lines, or basically what they like to do with Thama Nova and all that fun stuff, playing with dragon magic, which that goes so well, especially at an area where Abaddon placed this thing that if you read it, he comes back to the world. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't wait for Abaddon to come back. Which actually, it's kind of interesting. I was looking at this because at the end in Guild Wars 1, when you're going through Farnir City, you fight the Apocrypher, I believe it is. And I want to do further research on it, but they actually say an interesting thing on the wiki about it, and that's why I want to make sure if it was said in an interview or somewhere in dialogue that so yeah, Farnir, the first city in the distant past and one of the few remnants from Abaddon's time on Tyria. Before his fall, due to this, it has been regarded as myth and unknown to many scholars, including Dunkoro. An old legend claims that the Apocrypha fell out of the sky as a gift from the stars. When Cormyr was exploring the ruins of Farnor, she awakened the Apocrypha, which we all knew that from the story, and she tells us that she did it later. But Anne read from it, allowing Abaddon to influence her. Though it is first implied that General Kayet awakened it when she obtained a scroll from the city. If he's been influenced her from the very start, how do we know this wasn't his plan all along to basically get a new vessel, Cormyr, this whole time? I mean, because he, like it says, allowing Abaddon to influence her from the very get-go before we met her as a playable character. Or as the player character. Yeah, that's also interesting that Timey mentioned the bugs and basically that was the area where the Scarab Plague happened. They talk about it a little bit in the first instance if you ask for more dialogue. Deo can't go through one podcast without it. No, of course not. And this one is more legit than ever. Like this, I mean.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Joko's trying to recreate the Scarab Plague, sounds like.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Oh boy, come on.
Oh boy.
And come on, that's a big theme between Guild Wars 1 and 2. The dragons are in a cycle. Maybe this means, now we have another undead lich. Like, it seems like the patterns are repeating. Like,
I mean, it's possible. I don't even lie. It's possible.
Just come on, get on that Abaddon train.
I need to go back and look at a lot of things just to see.
Where's Raza now? Oh, that would be kind of cool if we find out something like that about like doing fractals, like going through the mists, like Raza is somewhere in the background, like maybe helping, maybe giving us this access to the world. I mean, did he go back into the mist? We don't really know. I mean, does he die? Does he die or anything like that?
Can he die?
Yeah, that's. I've never been very. I was never good at Guild Wars 1, so yes, I can confirm he can die. Joko spreads the plague into Cantha. That could lead into that. Yeah, I could definitely see that, and that might scare the crap out of him because it's, hey, another plague is coming to your area. It's like, oh great, the plague was so great last time.
Oh, wasn't killed everything.
Exactly. Well, that's how they get us the Cantha, maybe, possibly. Who knows?
I guess. I don't know. A lot of. It's the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
there's a lot. There's a lot of little intricate things to go through. I think there'll be more as we go through. I do wonder if we'll go towards what's it called?
Mithrin, I'm glad you mentioned that. Abaddon cannot revive. All that's left from him is memories in the mists, without agency that cannot be reformed in the physical world. He was never defeated, he was transferred, so the mist is every possibility of the mist. Unlike Balthazar that was defeated in every fashion of existence, Abaddon was not. He was transferred. He might still exist in some realm of the other versions of the mist, which, thanks to a Surin personal story, other versions of ourselves can traverse Tyria, which maybe the Inquest got a hold of that invention after it was kind of turned to defunct or whatever.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a good patch. The story, I listed my major problems anyway with it, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the setup is interesting with Palau Joko and everything and what he's plotting to do. I do wonder if we're actually going to go to Korna eventually, or if we're going to oddly transition back to Tyria if Palau Joko's raising hell there or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and I think like what you're saying, Agent, like what QED's saying, like we're off to a great start overall, and it's an amazing patch. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. It's definitely lit a fire, like story wise. They came out swinging solidly with Fractal Raid and this. It's like a very solid, possible good farming area for the zone.
Yeah. Which I actually have to do because there's things I need to buy. I need to buy the branded node. I have to finish off my Astralarium tool. And then I could stock up on the currency for Obsidian Shard.
And I don't know if we should go into this whole
oh god.
Only his powers transferred. I don't know. You go listen when Cormir was taken over. That's not her voice at the very beginning, unless she had some major indigestion like Crocotork or something. Like I think more was transferred than just the magic.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think because actually with Hot, we had to wait a month before the first wing came out, and then I don't know if there was an actual new Fractal. I think they just had the Fractal back piece available so people could start that, and then there was Winter's Day afterwards. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good start, to be honest. I mean, it's gonna flow into Winter's Day pretty well. With Winter's Day, we'll probably have new stuff to get. People can
I would still like to. I mean, it's probably hard that there's now the gods are leaving type thing, but I wish there was like a throwback of like if the gods were still coming to Tyria type thing, that like Winter's Day would go back to like a battle between Grenth and Dwayna.
I would love that,
but I don't see that possibly happening. But maybe we'll get some more things.
I kind of like it when they split the players into two groups like that to just compete, like just be with Dwayne or be with Grant, like be with Evon Nashblade or Ellen Keel, that type of thing. That was really fun. I feel like they should do that a little bit, like once every 2 years. That'd be really cool.
But we'll probably wrap it up here and still do a little bit of after show, but because I still want to continue for a little bit longer conversation about Abaddon. Because I mean, come on, Abaddon's coming back. We all know it's just a matter of time.
You said this for 3 years. I'm just saying.
Eventually, I got to be right. Because maybe they'll remaster Guild Wars 1, and technically, I'll be right. But yeah. Well.
Because Teapot's doing probably CM demos, not demos. But he's probably doing CM.
But we do appreciate, that you think
you
we
could
deserve
watch
more
both.
People. Yeah, there's multi-Twitch. But yeah, we'll still do a little bit of an after show. But Age, where can they find you? And I do have to switch out the lower third.
Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Age Night Road. I stream. I make videos every now and then. I'll probably lower the amount of videos as we're getting towards the holidays, because I do need a break. I really haven't taken a vacation, as it were, from all this stuff. So just like a small break. I'll probably still stream every now and then, but I'll be around. Feel free.
Awesome. And you can find me at simply_Dan on Twitch and Twitter. And yeah, like I said, I want to start streaming more. We did, I think, 2 or 3 days last week or something, but that was mostly in part of the Living Story stuff. But yeah, if you are just popping in, do stick around. We're going to do probably a little bit of an after show since this was such a longer episode. But if you want to watch this, we do highlight it on Twitch. But if you prefer YouTube, we put it up on YouTube on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you're watching on YouTube and you made it this far, whew, hats off to you. But all the links to all the stuff should be in the description, timestamps, all that fun stuff. If you are trying to avoid spoilers, which if you made it here, you did a bad job avoiding them. But if you want to come out live, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/talkingskrit. And I would like to thank Moonkiller NV, SOTD_podcast, which is Shadows of the Dragon podcast, Jaibu Cool, Crescent QT, That Chevron, and Garaz MOG, which I think is also from kind of the SOTD group. So thank you all for your host this week. And as always, we will see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Later, guys.